Hey everyone, I'm Neil Patel, and today I'm going to be going over SEO and why it's important. Did you know that 93% of online experiences start with a search engine? You may think, all right, there's these search engines out there. Yeah, sure, we know Google, but for a minute, just think about how many times you go on Google or search, or YouTube and search, or Kayak and look for hotels or flights. There's search engines all around us, and we're constantly using them. So this week in the program, as I mentioned, it's all about the introduction and keyword research. Today I'm going to be going over the introduction, and then after that we'll end up diving into keyword research. As I mentioned, it's a 7-week journey. As long as you follow along, you should see results. Before we get started into going over SEO, there's a few things I wanted to cover. There's a lot of people saying false information out there, so I wanted to play a little fun little game called Fact or Fiction. The first one: my industry is too hard to get ranked in. Second one: only big companies can do well on Google. Then I always hear, the more pages I have, the better. Then people always say, I need to submit my site to Google, or I need to spend money to win online. Now let's go over all 5 of them. The first one: it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you can always rank on Google. Some industries take longer than others, but you can still rank on Google. And if it was only big companies that ranked well on Google, you wouldn't see all these small mom and pops popping up, doing well, and changing their lives. Also, more pages you have, the better. That's totally false. If you look at about.com, they cut more than half their content. They turned it into a lot of mini sites, and they started getting more traffic. And Google, it detects your site automatically. You don't need to quote unquote manually submit it. Now, of course, creating an account on Google Search Console and submitting your sitemap isn't a bad thing to do. And you don't need to spend a ton of money to win online. And that's why I started to get into SEO. Now, by the end of this presentation, you'll understand the factors that are really important to Google if you want to rank high. And you'll also learn how SEO will help you drive traffic and, more importantly, sales. There are 3 main keys that you really need to understand if you want to win online. The first is, why is SEO so important? Look, SEO is a process of optimizing any given search word or term for a search engine on your site. In other words, it's your 24-hour salesman. So no matter what time of the day or what country people are in, when they're searching, you can be found, you're getting that traffic, and some of it will end up converting into sales. That's why I love SEO. If you stop paying money to Google or whatnot for paid ads, you know what? Your traffic dies down. But with SEO, if you don't do anything for a whole week straight, you don't even open up your wallet, you can still continually get traffic. During this presentation, I may end up using some terms that you may not be familiar with. So I want you to go to neilpatel.com/training and download the marketing acronym glossary. This will help you keep up with everything and understand what we're talking about. My 5 top reasons why I love SEO so much is, it's simple. It increases your traffic. It generates a positive return on investment. It gives you amazing brand awareness. Over the years, so many people have found me from Google first. It builds a ton of trust. You know, what's funny is people are like, all right, it ranks in Google. I read it. It must be true. Now, that doesn't mean that you should put out deceiving information, but it's for you to understand that it builds trust. And your competition is doing it. So if you don't do it, you're going to get left out. The next key to winning online is choosing your battleground. As Jimmy Wales, the founder of Wikipedia, says, if it isn't on Google, it doesn't exist. Your new best friend is Google. You know, when you're going out to the park and you're playing baseball, your new friend Google is going to be there. When you're on your couch watching TV with a friend, well, that friend is going to be Google. Now, I know they're not really going to be sitting next to you and Google can't really catch the ball for you, but that's how much in love you need to be with Google because they can change your life. They dominate search on all landscapes. So when you look at desktop, there are estimated 4.5 billion active internet users, and Google's search share for desktop is 87%. That's roughly 8.7 out of 10. That's an amazing result. Hey, if I was in school and I kept getting grades of 8.7 out of 10 or 87%, my mom would be happy. And on mobile, it's even more crazy. They're 9.5 out of 10. They dominate even a greater share because so many people are using Android devices. So if you're not on Google, you're not going to do well. And just being on there isn't enough. Your position is everything. Over 31.7% of people click on position 1 according to advanced web ranking. If you're not in the top 10, then you're not going to be seen at all. Being in the top is literally everything. At this point, what I want you to do is go to neilpatel.com/training and download the PDF on search engines. It'll help you understand how Google works, their layout, from the SERP features to advertising to page results to knowledge graph. It literally will break down all aspects of a search listing page. If you already know that, you don't really need to download it, but if you don't, it's a great place to start before we jump into the third key, which is unlocking the SEO factors to win online. One question that you may have in mind is, hey Neil, what information does Google offer in relation to SEO and ranking online? Well, they give some information, not a ton, but they do give some and we do appreciate it. They have guidelines, like they tell you to make sure that your website stands out from others or make sure that your pages are optimized for users and not search engines. But these little checklists and these little factors don't really tell you much. And yes, they tell you what not to do, but again, it's really generic and it doesn't tell you much. One thing that you can do is go to Uber Suggest, click on the site audit report in the left-hand navigation once you're there, and look at your website, and it'll break down the factors that Google is looking at, from what's healthy, what's having issues on your sites, to redirects, to warnings, to recommendations. You're going to want to go through all of them and make sure you fix them. And you want to do it for all the pages on your site, not just half your pages or a few of your pages. Google wants to rank sites that are fully optimized, not just one or two pages that are optimized. The other thing that's cool that they do is they have a Twitter account called Search Liaison, and they tweet about updates, what's happening. So I make sure, if I were you, I would follow it. Danny Sullivan also works at Google. I recommend following him as well. Those are two accounts that you can get a lot of information on what's happening with their algorithms. You can also look at Think with Google. It's a website that they ended up releasing. It gives you information and a lot of data points out there. You're probably wondering, hey Neil, this is all great, but what's the holy grail of SEO? What's that silver bullet? Well, there's not really a silver bullet. It's a lot of little things that add up, and I'm going to go over them. One of them is page speed. For every second delay means roughly 7% reduction in conversions, according to HubSpot. So you want to make sure your site loads fast. And on that same site audit report in Uber Suggest, it breaks down site speed and it tells you what's wrong and what needs to be fixed. The next thing I want you to look at is mobile user experience. Look, the number of people that are using mobile devices is continually going up, so much so that Google has a mobile first index. That's the power of mobile. The next factor that I want you to look at is topical content. They know that, hey, if you have pages on cats, then you may cover topics like kittens, what happens if your cat leaves you for a day or two, what kind of food does a cat eat, what's a healthy weight for a cat. So the more detail that you go into on each page around the same topic, the better you're going to end up ranking, versus if you go really broad and cover a lot of random topics, but you don't go in depth on all of them. Another factor, and this is from Ahrefs, it's all about URL length. The longer your URL length, the lower your rankings are. So you want to keep your URL short and to the point. Another thing to look at is content length. Generally speaking, the longer your content, the more social shares you're going to end up getting, the better you're going to end up doing. But that doesn't mean that you should just go out there and release a ton of long articles that contain fluff. If you have fluff in your articles, you won't do well. Backlinks is another big factor. And as you can see from this chart by Ahrefs, backlinks have more of an impact on your rankings than on-page SEO. That's getting other sites to link to you. It's super important. And one thing that very few SEOs look at is the power of brand and user signals. So the ex-CEO of Google once said, brands are the solution, not the problem. Brands are how you sort out the cesspool. Now, Matt Cutts, who also worked at Google in the past, he was a former head of web spam. He stated a quote saying, we actually came up with a classifier to say, okay, IRS or Wikipedia or New York Times is over on this side and low quality sites are over on the other side. In these days, security is a big issue as well. So you want to make sure you're using an SSL certificate so that way you get that HTTPS, because when people go to your website and you're not using SSL, you're more likely to get a warning. Now, before I dive into the next lesson of keyword research, I want to go over some cool things that you should do to get started. The first is to go to Uber Suggest and head to the dashboard and create your project. This will help you track your rankings over time and your progress so you can see if you're doing better or worse. And of course, you should be doing better. I already went over the fact and fiction. Now you know what is real and what isn't. Now it's time for you to go to neilpatel.com/training and download these 3 things. They're super important. Google Search Packs, local landing page, local directory checklist. This is all important because it'll help set up the right foundation before we dive into keyword research. Thank you, and I look forward to helping you get loved by Google. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and welcome to another day of SEO Unlocked. Today is very exciting because we're going to start the journey into keyword research. This is one of the most fundamental steps of SEO. And the reason being is keywords is where it all starts. That's how people find you. If you do it right, great. You're not only going to get traffic, but you're going to get sales. If you do it wrong, you're going to get traffic, assuming you follow all the other materials I'm going to teach you. But if you do it wrong, you're going to get traffic. But what you'll find is you won't get any sales. And I want to avoid you making that mistake. In other words, you need traffic that converts into leads or sales. And that's what this will teach you. SEO Unlocked is a 7-week course, as you already know, and we're in week 1. So let's dive into keyword research. Are you getting the right traffic? And here's one of my favorite quotes. It's from the CEO of Google. And he says, anytime you type in a keyword, as Google, we have gone and stored copies of billions of pages in our index. We take the keyword and match it against the pages and rank them based on 200 plus signals, things like relevance, popularity, and how other people are using it. Google's looking at a lot of things. So when you're doing keyword research, don't worry about the 200 factors. I know a lot of SEOs talk about them. I'm going to break it down so it's as simple as possible and you don't have to worry about each and every single algorithm change or factor in the algorithm because it's just too complicated and it's just overwhelming. As I mentioned, picking the right keywords will make you more money and picking the wrong ones will hurt you. My last startup, I was getting roughly 4 times more traffic than my competition. They're worth $800 million during their peak, and we weren't even worth 1/10 of what they were worth. The reason being, I picked the wrong keywords. That just shows traffic isn't everything. Now, most people start off with Google Keyword Planner, right? It's a free tool by Google. You go in, you type in keywords, and Google roughly tells you how much traffic a keyword gets or what it costs. But there's something wrong with the approach. What's wrong with it is it tells you, hey, here's a keyword, it gets traffic or it doesn't get traffic, but it doesn't necessarily tell you the most important part. Is that traffic what your audience is looking for? Is that traffic going to generate leads or revenue? And that's why I want you to skip using Google Keyword Planner. You can use Ubersuggest. It's a tool I built. There's a free version of it that anyone can go and use, and you can get tons of keywords ideas. And it breaks it down not just based on popularity, but also what's most likely going to convert and generate you revenue as well. And there's tons of reports in it, and I'll show you how to use it over the period of this course. When you go to Ubersuggest, on the left-hand navigation side, you'll see a link that says keyword ideas. When you type it in, and you type in a keyword that you're trying to go after, anything related to your space, such as like shaving or razors, it'll tell you what's popular, the cost per click, the SEO difficulty, that's the word SD, you see the abbreviation there, or PD is paid difficulty. When SEO difficulty is under 40, it's easier to rank for. When it's over 40, it gets harder and harder to rank for. Typically, when a keyword has a high cost per click, it means that people are spending a lot of money because it's generating sales. It's very rare that companies spend a lot of money to bid for that keyword in paid ads if it's not generating any sales. And on the right side of the keyword ideas report, it shows you all the people that are ranked for that keyword, how many visits they're roughly getting from that keyword, how many backlinks they have, their overall site authority. That's what we call domain score. It's a metric from 0 to 100. The higher the number, like a Google or Amazon being like a 90 plus or 100, those sites tend to dominate and rank for everything, right? When you see domain scores of less than 40, 50, it means that a lot of sites are ranking for this keyword that don't have that much authority, and it's a much easier keyword to rank for. And this will give you ideas of if a keyword is good, right? Because you have the CPC data, if it's easy to rank for because you have the SEO difficulty data. And you can also see on the right side who's ranking for it. And if you're seeing big brands going after these terms, in many cases, or even smaller competitors that you know are doing well, it tells you that it is a keyword that you should be on the lookout for. In addition to that, if you don't want to use Ubersuggest, there's many other ways you can go and find keywords out there. I recommend using a combination of all of them because the more the merrier. I love using Wikipedia, right? On Wikipedia pages, like let's say if I looked up United States, it'll mention things like other countries that are bordering us, like Canada or Mexico. It'll mention things like the Statue of Liberty or the Star Spangled Banner. Things like Wikipedia or other content pages around the web that have really detailed content can give you keyword ideas as well, because these articles are filled with lucrative keywords. So make sure when you're reading content around the web, especially on competitor sites, look at what words they're mentioning on a frequent basis. At first, you won't notice them, but when you have that thought in your mind that your competition is using keywords, you'll start noticing what they're mentioning over and over and over again. The concept of keywords is very similar to the Three Musketeers. They have a slogan, all for one and one for all. And here's what I mean by this. We call it the musketeer intent, but your intent, which is, hey, I want to rank higher on Google for a keyword, needs to be similar to the customer's intent, which is, hey, I'm looking for this keyword because it solves a problem. You want to rank because not only do you want traffic, but you need to be able to solve the customer's problem. If you solve their problem, you're much more likely to rank. On top of that, you also want to think about the influencer's intent. Why should people want to share your article on the social web or link to it? Because if you get way more people linking to you, your rankings are going to be higher. So in essence, when you're doing keyword research and creating content, and we'll go into creating content in the upcoming weeks, you need to make sure the intent aligns with each of these three groups. And don't worry about the details right now. We have worksheets and PDFs that'll help break that all down for you and teach you how to do it step by step. When you're going after keywords, it all starts by understanding your goals. Do you want to rank for the keyword because you want more sales? Or do you want your product or service to generate more leads? Or do you want to feed different sections of your sales funnel with more traffic? Do you want to build awareness? Do you just want that brand recognition so everyone knows you like Nike or American Express? Or do you want all that organic traffic so you can remarket to those people and get them coming back to your site through ads? A journey really looks something like this. It's all scattered. Not everyone goes through all the steps, but in essence, someone's out there, they may go to a website or see a TV commercial or go back to your site or click on your ads. But in general, they're going through a journey, whether it's opening up your emails or reading the news and hearing about your company. Eventually, they all start at the same position and end up at the same position, right? They all start with having a problem or looking for something, and they all end up at the same place, which is they find the solution and they tend to do the transaction, like they buy a product or they become a lead to learn more information. But you need to remember when you're going through this, your customer is a person. They're not a robot. They're not a machine. They're real people. Like if you're selling beard products, would you really target people who are clean shaven? Of course not. And if you don't understand your customers, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. In addition to that, you need to also think about authority, right? Remember how I mentioned, hey, it's not just about you or the person searching. It's also about authority, because authority is what leads to more social shares and backlinks. And we'll go over backlinking in the up and coming weeks. But if you're not getting that authority and going after the right influencers, you're not going to get the links, which means it's going to be harder to rank. There's really 5 steps to keyword success. The first is you need to build your keyword list. Then you need to research your target musketeer. Then you need to understand the keyword metrics. Next, you need to match the customer journey. And of course, last but not least, you need to refine your keyword list. So first, building a keyword list. You go to neilpatel.com/training and you'll be able to download the PDF there. And it breaks down how you can use it and what you need to do step by step. Second, you need to research your target musketeer, right? It's all about researching that individual. So let's take an example, Dollar Shave Club. They're a company that offers shaving products. And their mission is to help guys take care of their minds and bodies so they can be their best selves, right? And they're based in Venice, California, and their whole model was razors and all these things are really expensive. Let's just send them to people on a monthly basis, make it really simple, and make it really affordable. So keeping the Dollar Shave example in mind, there's a few places where you can go to really understand your customer. You can go to places like forums. There's forums on everything. Just Google your keyword plus the word forums. Or it could be, board as well. Some people call them message boards or groups. It's a great place where you can see what problems people are facing and what solutions they're looking for. It's all about understanding people, because understanding them is what will help you lead that visitor into a customer once you get them to your site. Wikipedia, this is a great place to go as well. Depending on what you're looking up, even things like shaving, they have different sections in there like shaving in religion or myths or history. This will all tell you what people are really looking at, because the way people write Wikipedia articles isn't just a Wikipedia article. It's a community. Everyone's adjusting it, and they're adjusting that article to be the best article out there to really help people looking for information on that subject and are looking to solve their problem. Reddit's another amazing place. You can see what's upvoted. Things that are upvoted tend to be more popular, and this will give you ideas on what more people are interested in, which is great for you, because the last thing you want to do is create content and go after keywords and subjects that people aren't really that interested in. The other thing that I like doing is Ubersuggest, right? It's a tool on neilpatel.com. You can go to neilpatel.com/Ubersuggest, or in the navigation, just click on the tools link and then Ubersuggest. Type in any keyword. On the left-hand navigation, once you go to the keyword ideas report, you'll see a list of suggestions. What most people don't do is they don't click on the related tab, which I highlighted on this screen. This will give you the most amount of keyword ideas typically, and it sorts them by how popular they are, other related terms. It shows you CPC data, that's how much people are paying for them. It even tells you things like paid difficulty, that's PD, how expensive it would be if you're going to pay for that keyword. I know this is an SEO course, but I thought I would throw that in there as well. And SD, which stands for SEO difficulty. How hard is it to rank? The higher the number, which is from 0 to or 1 through 100, the higher the number, the harder it is to rank for. The lower the number, the easier it is to rank for. You can also use suggestions through sites like eBay, Amazon, Google. We pull a lot of this into Ubersuggest as well automatically, so that way you don't have to do much. You can also look at questions. And questions are, what questions are people asking around this subject? Like, can you bring a shaving razor on the plane, right? That's an example of a question that someone may be searching for that you can answer. Another tool that I love, this is one of my favorite ones, and I use this like once every 3 days at least. It's Google Trends, because you can type in keywords and it'll tell you what's trending. And this is great because you want to know where the market's going. You don't want to just be reactive as a marketer or as an SEO. You want to be proactive and going after areas that people are going to be more interested in the future. And Google Trends shows you that, right? It shows you what's trending and what's becoming more and more popular over time. You can also correlate intent through prepositions. So again, on the keyword ideas report on Ubersuggest, there's a prepositions tab, like shaving with razor bumps, right? And these are all long-term opportunities that you should be trying to rank for, because these long-tail keywords, a lot of people aren't thinking about them. And yes, they don't drive the most amount of traffic today, but 6 months from now, a year from now, it adds up and it can drive quite a bit in conversions. There's also Quora. It's one of the most popular question and answer site. You can see what's popular. Whatever has tons of answers, people are probably interested in that subject and are looking for answers as well. I like Amazon reviews as well. This gives me an idea of what people think, what they like, what they dislike, what I need to really cover when I'm trying to find the right keywords that appeal to my ideal audience. Then, of course, there's social shares. So on Ubersuggest, whenever you type in a keyword, on the left-hand navigation, there's a navigation button called Content Ideas. This shows you all the popular blog posts around the web on that subject, and it breaks it down by social shares. So you can see the ones that have the most social shares at the top. Then it also looks at backlinks, who's linking to them, and estimated visits. And the estimated visits is How many visitors is this article getting from Google specifically? So I love looking at this because it tells me what traction content has. And it shows me that, hey, these keywords are better than others. Hey, these keywords do really well for the social web because it has a lot of shares. And these other keywords do better for Google search. The results, right? The other thing that you can do is just Google for the term and look at the results in the top 10. This will give you an idea of, hey, these are what people want to read about. Because Google doesn't just rank sites at the top based on what keywords they put in or what links are pointing to their website. As the CEO of Google mentioned, they look at things like popularity, experience. So if a lot of people are reading an article and they stick around for 10 minutes versus they read another article from a competitor and they stick around for 2 seconds and they bounce away, what do you think is going to happen? Well, the one where everyone's sticking around for minutes, that one's going to rank higher. But the one where people bounce away within 2 seconds, it'll tell Google that, hey, it doesn't matter how many links this has or what their content's about. People don't like this result, so we shouldn't rank it that highly. Now, one thing I really want you to do, and this is one of my favorite tactics, but a lot of SEOs don't do this, I want you to set up Facebook audience insights, okay? This doesn't mean you're going to be spending money on Facebook or you have to run ads or anything like that. Don't worry. See, what's cool about Facebook Audience Insights is they'll tell you exactly all the people who are visiting your website, what they like, what their interests are, so that way you can do better targeting. And the way you figure this out is you can look at Facebook's pixel guide and install their pixel. When you install their pixel, what will happen is they're going to end up tracking the data on your website, and they'll end up giving you like the demographic data on the people who are visiting your website so you can see their interests, and it'll help you determine what keywords you should go after. So step 1, log into Facebook and click on pixels. And once you end up doing that, the next step is you click get started. And then from there, after you create your pixel, then you want to name your pixel, whatever you want to call it. You can just name it the name of your site. Then from there, you want to email it to a developer to install it, or you can install it yourself. It's kind of like installing Google Analytics. And then step 5 is view and copy the code into the head of your site. And once you end up doing that, you're off into the races. And then boom, within time, you'll be able to see that, hey, Facebook is telling me audience insights. And if you want to track to see if you did it right, there's also a Chrome extension that you can install, and it'll tell you if you did it right or wrong. All right, now that you're starting to collect data on your ideal customers and the people visiting your website so you can learn more about them, you also want to check for what keywords you already rank for, right? You may be ranking for something already. I rank for a ton of keywords because I've been doing this for a long time. So people are like, hey, Neil, it's easy for you, but hey, when you're a new website, and even if you get 10, 20, 50, 100 visitors, hey, it shows up in Google Search Console. So you should be using Google Search Console. It's free. It shows you that data. The other thing that you can end up doing too is you can go to your competition or your own website and you can type it in to Ubersuggest and go to the Traffic Analyzer overview. And when you click on the keywords box, it'll take you to a report that breaks down all the keywords that website ranks for. And this is really useful because it'll tell you, hey, this is a good keyword. Look at all the traffic they're getting for. Here's their position. Here's the search volume. It'll help give you more ideas as well. The other thing that you can do, and this is what I love doing, is I like setting up a project on Ubersuggest, and I put in my own website, or you can put in your competitor's website. I generally recommend that you put in your own website. It'll show you their estimated organic monthly traffic, their monthly backlinks, if it's growing or declining, the referring domain names. And what's cool about this is you can track their rankings over time and seeing if they're going up or down and compare it to yours as well. Now, what I want you to do is go back to neilpatel.com/training and download the customer and influencer personas. Remember how we just break down the musketeer profile, right? All for one for all. It's about people as well. You're not just trying to please a robot or a server or algorithm. You're trying to please people because that's how you convert visitors into customers. And download this worksheet and go through it. This will help you do keyword research the correct way, and this worksheet breaks it down step by step. It shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes. And once you do that, you'll be then ready for the next lesson. Thank you for attending this week's class. Make sure you go through it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us. We're here to help you succeed. Hey everyone, I'm Neil Patel, and today I'm going to be breaking down how you can do keyword research. I've already broken down some of the basics of keyword research in the previous lesson, and I broke down how to build your keyword list and how to research your target musketeer. If you haven't seen it, go and check that out. In this training module, I'm going to be breaking down keyword metrics as well as how to match your keyword to a customer journey and how you can refine your keyword list. One of the most basic metrics is search volume. Whenever you do a search on Ubersuggest, you'll see the search volume for any given keyword on a desktop device as well as a mobile device. This is important to see because desktop devices in many cases convert better than mobile devices. On top of that, you'll be able to see seasonality. Do certain terms get searched more during certain times of the year? Do they get searched less during other times of the year? This will give you a good understanding of how to control your traffic. That way you can get a steady stream versus the continual ups and downs. Two other metrics that you really want to look at. The first one is paid difficulty. The higher the paid difficulty, the more competitive it is when you're bidding for on paid search. And the other metric is SEO difficulty. The lower that number, the easier is it to rank for in Google organic search. The higher the number, the harder it is. The other one to look at if you're doing SEO as well when you're doing your keyword research is CPC. You'll see it on the left. CPC stands for cost per click. Typically, the higher the cost, the more likely that keyword is going to convert a visitor into a customer. The lower the CPC, that usually means that keyword doesn't drive as qualified traffic, so it doesn't convert as well. Now, when you're going after a keyword for SEO, yes, you're not bidding for it, but still you want to go after those most lucrative keywords. So the terms that have the lowest SEO difficulty, ideally scores of less than 40, and a high cost per click are the ones that are going to tend to drive the most revenue for you. The next part of keyword research is to match the customer journey. A customer journey roughly looks like this. They go through roughly 6 steps all the way from having a problem to getting success. And that success is getting that aha moment once they implement things or they buy your product and they see that the results are great from it. Not just, hey, I bought this skin cream to reduce my wrinkles and I'm using it, but more so they got the results and the wrinkles went down. So let's go over the journey in detail. Now, using Ubersuggest, on the left-hand navigation side, you'll see a keyword ideas option. Click on that. That's where I want you to put in your keywords. There's multiple tabs. There's a suggestions tab on that report, a related tab, questions, prepositions, and comparisons. The questions tab will help you find a lot of problems, such as, hey, can shaving cause acne? Or will a shaving can explode when it's on the airplane? Or is shaving bad for you, right? These are all problems that people may be looking up. And then when you want to get into the solutions, you can check out the prepositions tab, and that'll show you results like shaving near me. Or if you look at the comparison result, which also can give you solutions, shaving versus waxing. Anyone who's looking up shaving versus waxing, they're probably like, hey, which one is better? Which one should I do? For the buying keywords, I want you to look at the suggestions or the related tab. And let's say if you're interested in shaving, you're going to see examples like shaving supplies or shaving subscription. When you want to work on implementation or upselling or customer success, again, you can see some of these keywords in the suggestions or related tab. And they may be phrases like phone number for Dollar Shave Club, right? This is someone who may have an issue or they're looking to place a bigger order or they're looking to upsell or sadly maybe even canceling. Or Dollar Shave Club sign in, right? That's another example of a keyword. Or even Dollar Shave Club how to cancel. The last step in keyword research is to refine your keyword list. You see all these keywords. Well, what do you do with them? You may have too many to go after. Some may be the right ones, some may be the wrong ones. So you need to refine your keyword list. And you can do that through 4 simple steps. So let's dive into each of them. The first is the search goal value. What value can you give the term against your goals? Do you think it's going to have high profit? Do you think it's going to generate some, not just traffic, but some sales or leads? Typically, as I mentioned earlier, if it has a higher CPC, that's cost per click, you're going to get more value from that keyword. If it has a lower cost per click, you're not going to get as good of an ROI. You also want to check out the competition. Is that keyword really hard to rank for, right? And that is SEO difficulty, but you can also look at domain score. In the keyword ideas report in Ubersuggest, it'll tell you on the right side the average domain score and how many links a site has that's ranking in the top 10. You can also go to the backlinks report in Ubersuggest, look up any site that's ranking or any site that's a competitor, and it'll tell you their domain score. That'll give you a good understanding of what your competition's up to when it comes to ranking. The higher that number, it's from 0 to 100, or more so 1 to 100. The higher that number, the more power and authority that site has, and the more likely they are to rank. When you're refining your keywords, you also have to keep in mind commercial intent. So I want you to go to neilpatel.com/training, and there you'll be able to find a 220 profitable buyer keyword download sheet. So I want you to download it, and it'll help you find the right keywords that you should be going after. In essence, it'll help you refine everything that you're doing. Now that you got your keywords, it's all about grouping those keywords and putting them in the right buckets. You're probably like, wait, hey, how do I do that? I understand that certain keywords are related to some topics and others aren't. Well, again, you can go to Ubersuggest and type in any one of your competitors' domains. And you type it out, and then in the navigation, I want you to click on top pages, and this will show you all their top pages. This is how they're grouping keywords, because a page has many keywords. And under estimated visits, you'll see a view all button. When you click on it, you'll see all the keywords that your competition is using for that page. That'll give you a good understanding of how to group. You can also go to the keywords report on the left-hand navigation. And again, you can see all the keywords that your competition is ranking for in one simple view. And this as well will help you find the right keywords that your competition is doing well with and how you can group them too. As you're doing your keyword research, there's some important questions that you need to consider. Now, here's an interesting chart from Ahrefs. I'm going to actually show quite a few charts over the next few slides from Ahrefs. They have one of the biggest databases of SEO data out there. And they were looking at the median number of keywords that the top 20 ranking pages also rank for. As you can see, it's hundreds. That means any given page on your website doesn't just have to focus on 1 or 2 keywords. You can focus on hundreds and hundreds of keywords. So don't just focus on 1 or 2 keywords. As I mentioned, you should be focusing on hundreds. And this right here shows the overall domain score of a site and how many keywords that they rank for on any given page. So typically, when the URL score or domain score of a site is high, they tend to rank for more keywords on a page. So as you build up more of your authority, you can also rank for more keywords as well. And if you're looking for quick wins, Ahrefs also did an interesting study, and they found that keywords with low volumes of under 1,000 are really easy to rank for within a year. So if you're trying to go after the most competitive terms, it's going to take you much longer versus going after the ones that aren't as competitive. And typically the lower volume ones don't get that much traffic, but remember how I said you can rank for hundreds of keywords on a page? So if you have 400 keywords that each have 1,000 searches or even 500 searches a month for each of those keywords, that's anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000 potential people that you can attract to your website each and every single month. And you're probably wondering, hey, how long does it take to rank? And Ahrefs did another interesting study, and they found that with low volume keywords, it takes roughly 121 days. With medium volume keywords, roughly 304 days. High volume terms, you're looking at over a year. The next thing I want you to do is go to neilpatel.com/training and download the working example of doing keyword research. It breaks down how to do it and how to fill out your sheet so you can do it step by step, so that way you have a working example and you're not lost. So again, some action items for you. Make sure you download the Musketeer Persona research sheet. Make sure you look at the Musketeer Persona worksheet, and of course the Keyword Ideas workbook. Next week, I'm going to be breaking down how you can add the right keywords to your page and how to do it correctly, how to write the perfect headline that attracts more clicks, because they say 8 out of 10 people read a headline, but only 2 out of 10 will click through and read the rest of your article. Also teach you how to clean up your site and unlock more traffic, and how to find hired help for less if you don't have the time and resources to do it yourself. I look forward to helping you get loved by Google. I'll see you next week. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel again, and today we're going to be going over on-page and technical SEO. So I hope you guys are really excited, because if you don't make the right changes and adapt your site to Google from a code perspective, you're not going to rank well, and that's what I'm going to teach you today throughout this lesson. We're already in week 2, and as I mentioned, we're going to be going over on-page and technical SEO. I'm really excited for week 3 because that's where we get into one of my favorite parts, which is content marketing. But for now, let's go over the technical SEO. Everyone knows that linkable content wins, right? The more people that link to you, the easier it is for Google to find your site, and the higher that you're going to end up ranking. And there's many types of links. That's links other sites linking to you, as well as other pages within your site linking to other pages within your site as well. When you're going through your site and you're optimizing for Google, there's many factors that you need to look out for. But before I go into each of those factors, let me first show you how Google sees your website. I want you to go to Browse SEO and put in your URL. This will show you how Google views your website. What you'll see is all this code and text. That's how Google looks at your website. They don't look at your website in a pretty user interface or pretty design. They don't see any of that. What you're seeing on the screen is roughly how they view your own website. Now that you know how Google views your website, let's go into the 10 main elements when it comes to on-page SEO. The first one is titles. You know, whenever you do a Google search, you'll see this purple or bluish text at the top, then a green URL, and then black text underneath. The text at the top is titles. That's your title tag. The middle one, the green, is your URL. Of course, that's the URL of your website or your web page. And below that is a description. That's called a meta description. The title tag impacts clicks. If everyone does a search on Google and clicks on the second listing instead of the first listing because the text in the title is more appealing, what do you think that tells Google? It tells Google, hey, everyone finds this second listing more relevant, so let's move it to number 1, and let's move the original one that was ranking at the top back down to number 2. So you want to make your titles super appealing. And an easy way to do this is you put your keyword close to the front, because someone's typically searching for a keyword when they're on Google, and then you add a modifier towards the end. A modifier is words like buy, guide, review, online, offers, cheap. Sometimes you can even include the year. Updated in, and then you would add the year. And we found that when you add the year, especially for detailed guides, it drastically increases the click-through rate. The second element that you need to look at is headlines. David Ogilvy always said that 80 cents of advertising campaign out of $1 is spent in the headline. And it's true, headlines are super important. A quick stat for you, 8 out of 10 people will read your headline, but only 2 out of 10 people will click through and read the rest of your copy. So if your headline's not good, you're going to lose them, and you're going to miss the main opportunity to get people to your page and read the rest of your copy. With the headline, here's some formulas, right? Use a number or a trigger word at the beginning, then an adjective, then a keyword, and then a promise. Remember, your headline is different than the title tag. This is typically the wording or the phrase or the sentence, title, whatever you want to end up calling it, that you use at the top of an article or at the top of a page. The title tag is what you show to someone who's searching Google, and that's what we discuss in the first point. But a headline is what's seen on your own website in the top of the page. People read it, they'll either bounce away or they'll scroll down and they'll read the rest of your copy. An example of someone not using my headline formula is, let's say, how to sell your house. Not that attractive, not that appealing. After using my formula, you can end up using things like how you can effortlessly sell your home in less than 24 hours. People are like, oh, cool. That's great. I want to get rid of my home. I don't want to put in that much effort, and I want to get rid of it as quick as possible. You don't want to be deceptive with your headline. I'm giving you an extreme case here. Let's say you're in the home selling business and you know that you can't help people sell their home in 24 hours. Don't put 24 hours in there. Maybe you can do it within 30 days. That's still a good promise that'll cause a lot of people to click through. Some quick tips, short and sweet. Headlines that are around 6 words tend to do better. Use numbers in there. People love numbers. Just imagine yourself going through the grocery store in the checkout aisle. You see all these magazines. A lot of them have numbers there on the cover. It's because they know numbers work. Use interesting adjectives. Try negative words like no, without, or stop. Also, make sure your headline matches the content. If it doesn't, you're going to lose trust with your readers or your website visitors. When it comes to headlines, you also want to make sure that you're getting a ton of shares on social sites like Facebook or Twitter or even LinkedIn. And here's some interesting stats for you. Is when you're looking at 2-word phrases, the word how to generates more shares than any other 2-word phrase that we're seeing according to BuzzSumo. And when you're starting your headline, when it means starting, the words at the very beginning of the headline, X ways to tends to do the best. The number or the word X, or technically the letter X, would be replaced with a number such as 5, 10, 15, 20. And when you're thinking, hey, what number should I put in there for X ways? Well, first off, however many ways you have, that would be a way to start. And another thing to look at is the total number of shares. When it comes to numbers, the word 5, the number 10 also do really well, and you can see that on the left graph when it comes to social sharing. And when it comes to the length of your headline, think about headlines that are roughly around 6, 7, 8 words, 10 words long. They do fine. If you go too long, you're going to get very little shares, and if you don't have enough words, you're not going to get that many shares either. If you want to get the most amount of shares with your website and your blog posts or your resource pages, make sure you're using plugins like Social Pug or Super Socializer. It's a great way to add these social sharing icons to your site like I have on the Neil Patel website, and it does help generate a little bit more social shares. It doesn't give you a ton more, but every little bit adds up. The next thing I want you to look at is the first 100 words on your webpage. Your first 100 words is what Google's crawling, and they're like, hey, if these are your first words, typically what you talk about in your first paragraph or two, which is where your first 100 words usually are, is going to be what the article is about. You wouldn't end up having your first 2 paragraphs have nothing to do what your webpage or your article is about. That's why they're looking at your first 100 words really heavily. And you want to make sure you're dropping in your keywords within there. And you shouldn't have to manually force them in or stuff them. It should appear naturally. And of course, you want to put ones that are more popular than ones that are least popular. And you can use Uber Suggest. It'll show you what keywords are more popular than others. Next, it's time to make sure that your pages are all interlinked together. So this is a cool graphic from Google, and they show you how they're crawling the web. When you're taking your pages and you're linking page to page to page, it allows their crawler, their algorithm, to continually crawl your website and index every piece of content if they see fit. The reason I say if they see fit is if they don't feel the page is that valuable, they may choose not to index it, or if they feel that the page doesn't have unique content, they may choose not to index it. And we'll get into all those things later on, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview. And internal linking is super important. I rank very highly on Google for a lot of my head terms because I'm interlinking throughout my site. Another site that does this is Wikipedia. They rank for almost everything on Google because they're interlinking everywhere. And you can see it whenever you read a piece of content, you'll see those blue links throughout their text because that's the power of internal linking. It's what allows Wikipedia to continually rank higher and higher. And here's a cool graphic from Brahma Media. It shows you that as you link from your homepage to other internal pages, you can have your link juice flow throughout your site. Typically, not always, but typically your homepage has the most authority because a lot of people are linking to your homepage. And then as you link to other pages on your site and you cross-link those other pages and those articles to other important pages, what you'll find is it can bring up the rankings of your whole site overall. When you're doing your internal linking, make sure you put in keywords within the link. So for example, here you're seeing keyword stuffing anchor text. That would be the text of the link. I'm showing you the code. And the reason I'm showing you keyword stuffing anchor text is because although I want you to put keywords within the link, and that ends up helping you rank higher for that term, whatever it may be, like keyword stuffing anchor text, it'll help you rank higher, but you need to be careful and not just stuff in keywords, because if it's unnatural, it's not a good user experience. It's not just about adding in links and keywords, it's about doing what's also best for the user. You're not just optimizing for Google, you're also optimizing for users as well. Typically what I see is if you have a 1,500 word article, you want to aim for at least 3 to 4 internal links. A lot of these links may be backing up your claims or linking to other relevant articles. And if you don't have 3 or 4, that's fine. Don't just shove them for the sake of shoving them. Do what's natural and best for the user. Next, external links. This is you linking to other websites and also other websites linking to you. A lot of times you may be, hey Neil, there's my competitor. They have some great data, but I don't want to link to my competitor. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with linking to your competitor. I do it all the time because if my competitor has some amazing stats and data, yes, I'm plugging them, but it provides credibility as well, and it shows that I'm an authoritative figure because I'm not just making up stats and data or making up information. I'm telling you what to do backed by real data. So that's why external linking is really important. It also tells Google, hey, you are similar to these other websites. And if some of them link back to you or other websites in the same neighborhood link back to you, when I mean neighborhood, also if other marketing sites link back to me, it tells Google I'm a marketing site and I should be ranked for marketing related keywords. If I had a pet website and other dog sites link back to me, it would tell Google, hey, this site's related to pets or dogs and you should consider ranking them higher for dog or pet related terms. Make sure when you link to sites, you're linking to trustworthy sites that are reputable. Don't just link to Joe the plumber because you like their design. Make sure their data, their facts are relevant and accurate because you don't want to deceive your own users because it'll reduce how much people believe in you and affect your trust. Now with your website, you also have a lot of pages. Your pages all have unique URLs. URL length is really important, and here's a cool graph by Brian Dean from Backlinko. When your URL length is around 50 characters, you'll tend to rank better than if it is 60 characters or 70 or 80. So try to keep your URL short and to the point. Keep them clean. You don't want all these crazy words or characters in there, like the example I am showing you on the screen with like question mark and equal signs. You want to keep it clean, to the point, use letters, use numbers. This is really important in URLs because the more messy it is, what you'll find is the lower you'll rank. And a lot of people are like, no, I want my URL to be really long so I can put in all my keywords. Well, Google will think that your URL is only related to someone who searches for all that keywords, plus you'll rank for the long tail phrases as well. Long tail phrases, just as a quick recap if you're not familiar with that, is when people are doing a Google search for 3, 4, 5 word phrases on Google. With your URL structure, make sure you don't include dates. I removed dates from my URL structure on neilpatel.com. By doing this, I boosted my SEO traffic by 50% in roughly 30 days. I kid you not. And here's an example of on a screen, quicksprout.com / a date 2019, a month, 07, a day /24, and then the title of the article. By removing the date, Google will be like, oh, cool. This article is still relevant because 2019 happened a long time ago, right? We're way past 2019. But the article on how surveys can hook more customers, that's still relevant in future years. But when you have a date in your article, Google will be like, it's not 2019 anymore, so we shouldn't rank this article as highly. But when you remove the dates, it tells Google, hey, this isn't a news-related article. It's not relevant to a specific time period. It's still relevant in the future. So make sure you don't have dates in your URL. And if you have dates in your URL, you can't just remove them. You got to remove them and 301 redirect your old URLs, the ones with the dates, to the new ones. And I'll go over that in the upcoming lessons. You'll also want to make sure that you're using an SSL certificate. Most of the web pages that rank on Google use a SSL certificate. This makes your URL, instead of HTTP, it adds the S at the end. So then you'll be HTTPS. When you go to a website and it says not secure, usually it's because you're not using a SSL certificate. So you want to make sure that you're using a SSL certificate, not only because it helps with rankings, but it also helps with conversions. Some general URL tips. Use hyphens, not underscores. Use lowercase text. Use characters that are safe, so no and signs, no pound signs, no squiggly marks, or anything that isn't letters, numbers, or dashes, to keep things simple. And try to keep your URLs at a max of 2 folders. Because whenever someone does a search, it may be yourdomain.com / a word / and then another word or 2 words. The slashes are folders, so you don't want ideally more than 2 slashes. Sometimes you'll have more, but try to keep it in that realm. Next tip I want to go over, next factor, is readability. Look, if people are on your site, they're there to read and then figure out if they want to buy or consume information. But if your text isn't readable, people aren't going to stick around. I like doing things like keeping my words on my page really simple and easy to understand. I'm not trying to impress someone who went to Harvard. I don't have amazing grammar or spelling skills. Keep it simple. Don't talk above people's head. Use short sentences, that way it's easier to skim. I try to keep my sentences or in paragraphs at a max of 3 to 4 lines. Sometimes if I have more desktop readers, you can do 5 to 6, but a lot of people are on mobile devices these days, as I showed in previous lessons. You also want to use subheadings. You want to use images, quotes, lists, and call to actions. And now I'm going to dive into each of them a little bit more. So when it comes to images, you want to create images or use images sites where you can get images like pexels.com for free. You want to try to create your own images when possible. People like custom-made images. Make sure that they're compressed in size. They're small. You don't want them blurry, but there's a lot of tools out there. If you just Google compress your image, they'll compress them and keep the quality similar. So that way they load faster for people. And you also want to consider the dimensions for social channels as well. If you don't consider the dimensions, then what'll happen is people won't be able to easily share them on Facebook or LinkedIn. And you want to avoid stock photography when possible. Yes, there are sites like Pexels for free that you can use as last resort, but they tend not to do as well as custom images. With your images, you also have to keep in mind that Google can't see them, right? Remember how I showed you how Google looks at a page when you go to browse SEO? So you want to use an alt tag to describe what your image is. And you can see here that little code snippet, image source neilpatel.jpg. I'm saying this image, I'm defining the name as Neil Patel because that's me. And I'm also saying my description would be, let's say, Neil Patel, assuming I'm trying to rank for my name. And my title, a tooltip when someone hovers over the image, I would also use the same typically as my alt tag, which would be, again, Neil Patel. And you're probably wondering, why do I need to do all of this? Well, one, it helps Google, but on top of that, it helps people with disabilities because they use programs that help them describe a website. And of course, if Google's going to rank a website, why not rank a website that's great for all people, even ones who are disabled, because there's so many people out there who have disabilities. So please do try to make your website compatible for them as well. When you're looking at image sourcing, some sites to also check out is Envato or Graphic River. Those are 2 awesome sites as well. Now, subheadings. Think of your title, your heading on the page as a H1, but then you have subheadings, right? You have the title of your book, that's like the title of your article, but then there's also chapters in a book. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Those are what was considered subheadings. And typically your subheadings are using H2 heading tags or H3 heading tags. And if you're not sure if you're using them right, you can go to Ubersuggest, type in your URL, and then on the left navigation, click on Site Audit, and it'll analyze your headings and all your code for you and tell you what's wrong there as well. With your web pages, call to actions are really important when it comes to readability. If your call to actions don't stand out in color and they're not clear, you won't do well. Make sure when you're picking the color, do not use red. Red is typically a color for like stop, like a stop sign or a stoplight. So you want to avoid red, but you can use any other color. Just make sure it stands out and there's a good difference between the color on your page. So for example, if my page has a ton of blue, I may use green instead, or I may use orange, or I may use, I don't know, purple or pink, or, you know, pick any, or yellow. I don't know what goes with blue, but you get the point I'm trying to make. You wouldn't want to use the same exact color. Also, another thing I do throughout my blog post is I use a lot of quotes and bullet points. It makes things so much easier to read and skim. Keep in mind, not everyone's going to read your content. A lot of people are skimming it. So using quotes and using bullet points, it makes things so much easier to skim. It's also why I love creating infographics. They're like a visual piece of content that shows people information and images, and it makes it easier to understand and skim. And these days, everyone is watching videos. YouTube is one of the most popular websites. It makes up a decent chunk of Google's market cap. So make sure you're including videos when it's relevant. And videos is also a great thing for you to leverage, and I'll probably create another course on this in the future, is YouTube SEO, right? You can get a ton of traffic from videos as well because YouTube is the second most popular search engine. Another factor to look at is related keywords. Google knows that when you do a search for Windows, you're not just looking at Windows, the operating system like Windows 10, you may be looking at older versions like XP or 8 or 7. And you can see at the bottom of Google, whenever you do a search, it'll show you other related searches. This is their own lane semantic indexing. And you can also use Ubersuggest. When you go to the keyword ideas report on the left side and you put in any keyword that you're trying to rank for, it'll show you all the other related keywords that Google looks at. And you want to try to integrate some of these keywords within your page as well. Because if you want to rank for the main keyword, might as well rank for all the relevant related keywords as well. It's an easy way to get more traffic. The interesting thing is whenever you do a Google search and you type in the keyword, you'll notice that it bolds the keywords that you typed in when they're there on the page, such as how to or apple pie or make. And this allows you as a user to clearly see, hey, these pages have what you're discussing. That's the importance of keywords. So make sure that you're including the right keywords within your page and your title and your headings if you want to rank. If you don't, you won't do well. Last but not least, I wanted to go over social sharing. On Ubersuggest, whenever you type in a keyword and then you go into the content ideas report on the left side, it'll show you all the popular blogs around the web that have a ton of social shares. You want to create content around things that are going to be popular. And what's cool about this report is it shows you what's already done well. Because if something has done well, the chances are it'll continually do well in the future. If a lot of topics don't get a lot of social shares, because you can keep going to the next page and the next page and the next page on the content ideas report within Ubersuggest, and I recommend that, you'll start seeing what's less popular. You want to avoid writing stuff that's not that popular, and you want to write on more of the stuff that is really popular. What's also cool about this report too is it breaks down the estimated visits and backlinks. The holy grail is writing stuff that gets a ton of estimated visits, a lot of backlinks, and a lot of social shares. If you do that, you can do extremely well. That's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, I'm going to be going over off-page SEO. Thank you for watching. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel here, and today we're going to be going over off-page SEO. One thing that most people don't think about when it comes to SEO is dwell time. Dwell time matters when it comes to SEO and rankings. And if you're not sure what dwell time is, don't worry about that. Dwell time is a metric that calculates user engagement, session duration, and SERP CTR. So how do you measure dwell time? It's session duration, is someone staying on your website for a long time? Bounce rate, are they just bouncing off and going to a different website or going back to Google or somewhere around the web because they're not happy with what they're seeing? And click-through rate. A click-through rate is when someone's doing a Google search, they find a keyword, are they clicking on your listing more than the competitors? Because if they're clicking on your listing more, it tells Google that, hey, you're more relevant, people like your site more, so it should rank higher than the competition. The last thing you want to do is have people just come to your site and be like, hey, it's time to exit. Let's get out of this site. Now, of course, you're not going to keep people on your website forever, but there's things that you can do to keep them there as long as possible. The main way is to measure and check to see if your customers are happy and even your visitors. Because if people are happy when they're coming to your website and they're happy with their content, they're happy with the images, the videos, the product, the service, they're more likely to stick around. If they're not happy, they're going to bounce away. The way you do this is you go to Google Analytics and you sign up. Once you enter in your URL, it'll give you tracking code, and you want to place this tracking code onto your website. If you're not sure how, you can always email your developer, or you can ask my team and we'll tell you feedback on how to do this. If you have WordPress, there's a Google Analytics WordPress extension, and most of the platforms and CMSs out there have little plugins or easy way for you to install your Google Analytics code. Once you add it to your website, you can view it in your source code, and then over time, not right away, but within a day or two, sorry, you have to be a little bit patient, you'll end up starting to see data, and you'll start seeing it for future dates. So if you put on the code today, you're not going to see your traffic stats and your data from a month ago, but you'll see it from today onward. And what's cool about Google Analytics is it can show you session duration. This is how long people are going to be on your website. In the navigation, go to Audience, then click on Behavior, and then click on Engagement. And you'll get data all the way from time on site, page views per session, bounce rate. These are all very important metrics. What you ideally want to shoot for is people staying on your site for at least 2 minutes. 2 minutes is a really good number. As for bounce rate, the lower the better. And here's some examples of some other sites and their bounce rates. So from retail sites, they have roughly 20 to 40% bounce rate. Landing pages, 70 to 90. When you're looking at portals like MSN or Yahoo, they're somewhere around 10 to 30%. Service sites, anywhere from 10 to 30%. Content websites, 40 to 60%. Lead generation sites, 30 to 50%. So look at the graph, see what website of yours is closest related to it. Could be retail, could be landing page. If you're in B2B, it's probably service or lead generation. If it's a blog, it's a content site. And look at this and try to get your bounce rate somewhere in that range. That's what's good. And I'll show you how to do that over time. The first thing you want to do is within the navigation of Google Analytics, go to Behavior, then Site Content, and then Exit Pages. This will show you all the pages that are causing people to leave your website. If you can fix this and cause less people to leave your website, what you'll find is your bounce rate will decrease over time. These are the pages to focus on. Put yourself in the visitor's shoes or the customer's shoes. Why would they leave during this web page? Do they not like it? Is there something wrong? How can I make it better? Now, some pages will have a lot of exits, like your thank you page. Well, if someone already buys and you're shipping them a product, then they're good to go. And those pages are okay to have a lot of exits. But if it's an informational page that's educational, well, hey, maybe you should be linking to other articles on what they should do next after they read this one article. That way I can keep them on my website and keep educating and helping them out and provide a better user experience. You also want to look at your site speed. The slower your site loads, the worse your bounce rate's going to get. So go to Uber Suggest, and in Uber Suggest, go into the site auto report in the left-hand navigation once you load up Uber Suggest. And then I want you to click on Site Audit. In there, not only does this report show you all the errors you'll have when it comes to SEO, when you scroll down a little, you'll see a graph that looks like this on the screen, and it'll show you your overall site speed. You want to aim for green. Green is good, red is poor, and it maps it out for both desktop and mobile. That's really important because Google ranks mobile websites differently than desktop sites. And I know your website has both a desktop and a mobile version. In most cases, it's the same, but they still will rank your website differently on mobile devices than they will on desktop. They have two different indexes. You also want to compress your images. When you compress them and make them smaller in file size, it'll improve your load time. It's the number one reason for slow load time, and you don't want that. General benchmarks, 0 to 40% bounce rate is good, 40 to 60 is fair, 60 to 100% is poor. When you're starting out, you'll also find that your bounce rate is going to be higher, and that's okay. But as you get more traffic, you get more age, you've been around on the web longer, your bounce rate should decrease. If you have a brand new website, you'll find that your bounce rate is extremely low, and that's probably because you're visiting your own website a lot. And when you visit your own website a lot, you're probably not going to bounce as much because you're going between page and spending a lot of time. So you're skewing the results. But once you start getting a few hundred visitors, a few thousand visitors a month, your bounce rate will probably skyrocket and be in the poor range. And over time, you want to get into fair and then good. Another way to make your metrics better is to improve your click-through rate. Remember we talked about meta tags? That's your title, meta description. If everyone does a Google search for the best dog food and everyone clicks on the second result instead of the first result, because the second result has more appealing text, it tells Google, hey, we should make the second result and move it up to the top. And because it's more relevant, people are clicking. And the one that was at the top, we should move it down because not everyone cares about it and they're not clicking on it. So you want to use appealing text. So for your title, I broke down in the previous lesson on how to create amazing titles. Follow that. In your meta description, make sure you include keywords. And you can use a site audit report in Ubersuggest to make sure you avoid using long meta descriptions or long title tags or duplicate descriptions or duplicate title tags. By following all of that, you'll end up doing better and getting more clicks, which will improve your rankings. Here's an interesting stat for you, and this is from WordStream. For long tail phrases, assuming that's what you're going after, and that's what I recommend at the beginning, you'll find that you can end up getting many more clicks than if you go after head terms. So focus on the right terms. If you're going after broad terms like credit cards, well, someone searching for credit cards may want to figure out how to refinance their credit card debt, or they're looking for credit cards for bad debt, or they're looking for business credit cards, or they're looking to figure out how to cancel their credit cards. It's so vague that you're going to have a lot of people bounce off and not even click through onto your website. That's why you want to go after longer tail terms, and it'll improve your overall metrics, not just from your click-through rate, but the people sticking on your site, so the time on site, and it'll also decrease your bounce rate as well. And you can see a lot of this information within Google Search Console. When you go into Search Console, if you already haven't, go sign up for it. It's free. It's a free tool by Google, helps you track your data. And you want to click on search results on the left side, and it'll show you data on how many impressions you're getting and how many clicks. Your goal is to get more impressions over time, because the more impressions you get, that means you're ranking higher and higher on Google. And more clicks means that you're getting a better click-through rate. So you want to improve your impression count, but you also want to improve your click-through count as well. And it breaks down the percentage. Average click-through rate, 2.2%. You want to get that better and better so that way your numbers just improve over time. You also want to make sure your website is mobile friendly. If it's not mobile friendly, you're not going to rank well in the long run. Remember I said there's two different indexes on Google, one for people on mobile devices and another one for people using laptops or desktop machines. So you want to make sure that your site is mobile compatible. You can do this through a responsive design, and that helps quite a bit. Page speed is super important with mobile, because these mobile devices, even if they're on 5G or LTE, it doesn't mean they're going to get that connection everywhere. If I go into the middle of Missouri on a ranch, I may only have a 2G connection and things can load really, really slow. You also want to avoid using Flash. You want to have a simple design in UX, that way your page loads fast. You also want to consider using AMP framework. It's a framework by Google, and that ends up loading your mobile content much, much quicker, especially for your blog-based articles. Site structure is very important too. This will help with click-through rate. If you have a lot of pages on your site and you're interlinking right, over time when someone searches for your brand, you're going to see an indentation. These are site links. This helps you get more clicks, and it also helps Google understand your website. So make sure that you're using internal linking, because if you're not really going to see too many site links on your site, if any at all. And that's it when it comes to your site structure. Yes, you have your homepage, but your homepage should link to maybe category pages, and those category pages could link to more deeper pages. And some of them may even link back up to your homepage or other category pages or other blog posts. In other words, you should see a really tangled web. Think of like a spider web. That's how your website should be when it comes to linking together. But of course, when you're doing this, only link relevant pages to each other. Don't just link for the sake of linking. It has to be the ideal user experience. Don't do stuff just for Google. Put the user first, because Google in the long run will rank the websites at the top that are best for users. So action items for you before we finish today's lesson. I want you to download and complete the SEO Factors worksheet. You can find these at neilpatel.com/training. I don't know where you guys are watching this. It may be YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook. So if you're not sure where to find the PDFs, go to neilpatel.com/training. If you're already on neilpatel.com, you'll see it below this video. I want you to download and complete the SEO Factors worksheet. I want you to export your top 50 CTR pages from Google Search Console, and we'll show you how to do this in this Excel sheet. I also want you to export the page speed of 10 or more of your popular pages on your website, and we'll work through with you on this worksheet on how you can improve all of them. Thank you for watching. I look forward to teaching you how to audit your website next when it comes to SEO. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today I'm going to teach you how to do an SEO site audit. With this lesson, there's going to be a lot of factors and a lot of things that we're going to be breaking down. Don't worry if it gets overwhelming or confusing, because at the end, there's worksheets and templates that'll break down how to do everything step by step with your website. And you can find them at neilpatel.com/training for these worksheets and templates. In addition to that, we're going to show you how you can do this through Ubersuggest, which is an SEO tool. So that way you don't have to do this all manually. So let's get started. Let's start by applying some of the things that I've taught you in all the previous lessons to your website now. You want to first find the areas that you need to fix on your website. So first off, go to Google and type in site : and put in yourdomain.com. So mine would be site : neilpatel.com. Once you hit search, what you'll see is a list on Google. You'll either see one result, which is not good. You want to see more than one. You'll see 0 results, which is not good either. And if you have that, don't worry, we'll teach you how to fix this. Or ideally, the best example would be you're seeing hundreds, if not thousands of results. If your website is really small and you only have 1 or 2 pages, you won't see many results. You'll see maybe 1 or 2 and sometimes 0 if Google hasn't indexed you at all. And if your website is 1 million pages, you may not see 1 million results there. You may only see 200,000 or 100,000 because Google doesn't always index every page on your website. And if you have that issue as well, don't worry. After this lesson, when you go through the worksheets and the lessons and the homework, I'll break down how to fix that as well. So once you know that you can be seen, you want to make sure there's only one version of your website. Do you have a www? Do you have a non-www? Do you have a HTTPS? Or is your website not secure and you're only HTTP? If you're using an SSL certificate, which I mentioned in previous lessons, that's very, very important because Google's mainly ranking sites that have SSL certificates for security purposes. You should only see HTTPS version of your website. As for the www or the non-www version, your CMS or content management system should be able to fix that for you, and throughout there you can pick which version of your site you want to appear. Then I want you to go to Ubersuggest, type in your domain name. It'll take you to an overview report under the traffic analyzer. If you're seeing more traffic over time, that's great. If you have a new website or a website that's barely old and you haven't done much SEO, you're probably going to see no results. And that's okay as well, because as you implement some of these changes that I'm going to teach you, your numbers are going to go up. You're going to rank for more keywords, which is what the bottom graph shows you. And you're going to get more traffic from Google, which is what the top graph shows you. And this report's also cool because you can put in some of your competitors and it allows you to compare how you're doing to your competition over time. Now it's time to go and analyze your website to see what's wrong, what you need to fix, and how you can get more traffic. So within the sidebar of Ubersuggest, I want you to click on Site Audit. This is a report that'll show you everything that's wrong with your website or right. The green stuff is good, that's healthy. Anything that is orange or pinkish in color or gray or black is not good. And you want to make sure all that stuff is fixed. The gray stuff of redirects could be okay depending on the redirect type. So with the SEO site audit report, it shows you an overview, your critical errors, your warnings, your recommendations. The bigger your site, the longer it's going to take to run this report. You want to run your whole site, check all your pages to make sure you're fixing all of them, because if you just fix some of your pages, you're not going to rank that well on Google. You have to fix your whole site. And on this report, I want you to click on critical errors. Once you click on critical errors, you'll see something like this. It'll show you all the errors and pages that have critical issues. Then you also want to look at the warnings tab and then the recommendations tab as well. Typically, when you're doing SEO, you want to fix the stuff on the critical errors tab first, then warnings, then recommendations. By going in that order, you're going to get the biggest bang for buck when it comes to increasing your traffic. Some things within the Ubersuggest site audit report that you'll learn is your page title. Are they too long? Are they duplicative? In other words, are they using the same title for many, many pages? Because that's bad, because it doesn't tell Google which one's unique. Which ones should I rank for different keywords? So you want to make sure your titles are all unique. And of course, if you're not sure how to fix things, like you're seeing this error here, there'll be a little link that says, what is this and how do I fix it? You click on it, it'll tell you what it is, and it even breaks down how to fix it and even links you to articles that teach you how to fix it as well. Redirects, same thing. It'll tell you if you have redirects that are bad. You ideally be wanting to use 301 redirects. Anytime you're using 302, and other types of redirects, they're not as good as 301s. 301s tell Google this page has moved, transfer all the links, transfer all the equity, rank this page really high in Google. 302 is like, hey, we're temporarily not right here right now, but we don't know when we're coming back. That's giving a Google a fuzzy answer, so you want to make sure you're trying to use 301 redirects instead of other types of redirects. And redirect error codes, there's 301, right? These are the major types of codes that you'll see throughout your research, and 301s are okay as long as they're only used to redirect one page at a time. You don't want to keep doing redirects. What I mean by this is you don't want to take one page and redirect it to another page and have that page redirect back to the previous page. That would create a loop. If it's a loop, people don't know where to go. But one page redirecting to another page is fine. You don't want the other page to redirect to another page. You just want to keep it simple and do one redirect per page if you ever decide to use them. And if you're not sure why people use redirects, well, a lot of times people change their web page URLs. Like if you're like, this article is old, I want to update the URL. Well, you would redirect the old one to the new one. Or if you want to change your domain name from abcd.com to abc because you're able to knock off one letter and buy abc.com, then that would be another example of using a redirect. Again, you can use 302s, but you don't want to use them too long. If you're using them for more than 3 months, then that's not good. A 400 error means users can't get to that page. A 403 error means that page is not authorized. 404, page usually means it's not found. You want to redirect these, use 301 redirects. 500 errors are internal errors like with your server or your web development. Send it to anyone technical on your team and they can fix those. Thin content is something that you'll also find a lot within Ubersuggest. If it shows that you have thin content, that's not good. You want to fix that. Thin content means there's not enough text on a page. And you won't be able to fix every page that's thin in content because some of them, like your about page, you're not going to have 5,000 words on your about page. You may only have 100, 200 words, or your contact page, and that's okay. Not every page is going to be perfect and have a lot of text, but fix the ones that make sense. Review those pages, make sure they have unique title tags and unique meta descriptions as well. You also want to make sure you're not missing any image alt tags on images. Image alt tags tell Google, hey, this is what this image is about. If you have an article about cars and then you have an image breaking down a car and it's a Mercedes car in a certain type and it's 4 doors and it's gray in color, where use an alt tag that describes that, because when people search on Google for images, and image search is very popular, especially in niches like travel, if you don't have alt tags, it's harder for Google to decipher what that image is about. You also want to look at internal links. Throughout Ubersuggest, once you put in your URL, assuming you're getting more and more traffic, eventually you'll see your top pages report load up with a ton of examples. If you don't, you can put in a competitor and you'll see all of their top pages. These are all the pages on your site or a competitor site that's getting good traffic from Google. Again, as I mentioned, if your site's new, you won't see any results here, but as your site gets more popular, you'll see results. You can also use this report to see what pages are popular on your competition, and it'll give you ideas of the type of pages you should create. And when you have pages that are popular, you want to make sure you're linking to them throughout your whole site, so that way they rank even higher and get more links as well. Backlinks, really important factor, because the more sites linking to you, the better you're going to do as well. But not all links are equal. Some are bad, some are good. And Google breaks down things like you want your links to be unique and relevant. That's great. Your links should be within content. They should be beneficial to people. If it's not beneficial to them, then there's no point of that link existing. You don't want to pay people for links either. That's really bad. It's short-sighted. It can also lead to penalties and decreases in rankings if Google finds out you're doing that. When you're looking at your links within Ubersuggest, I want you to go to the backlinks report, which is one of the last options in the navigation, and look at the anchor text. This report shows you all the people linking to you and the anchor text of the link. That's a keyword people are putting in the link. Does that link actually, the text of that link, does it really match up to the page that they're linking to? If it doesn't, and it looks spammy, you got another issue, and you want to make sure you remove your low quality spammy links, because these links can actually hurt your rankings as well, right? If it's unnatural, it's from a spammy site, like if you have adult sites or casino sites linking to you when you're not in the adult niche, or the casino pharmaceutical sites linking to you when you're not in the medical space, something's wrong, right? You would want to clean those up and get those removed. And the easiest way to tell, again, is to go to Ubersuggest and look at the sites linking to you. Does the anchor text match what your page is about? If it doesn't, something may be wrong there. It doesn't mean that you should remove that link right away or try to get it removed. It more so means you should investigate further. Go to that page linking to you, right? Because on the left side in that table shows you all those URLs. Click on them. Does it look like a legitimate site? Is it related to your niche? If so, great. You don't have anything to worry. Does it look decent enough where you should keep it? You think you can potentially get customers from there? That's fine. That's no issues at all. But if it's not that way, then you want to end up getting them removed. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit as well. Going back to the site audit report, you want to make sure you don't have broken pages or broken links. It'll point that out as well, and you can fix those. You also want to reach out to websites when you see bad links, or they're broken, other people linking to you. You want to message them and tell them, hey, I would appreciate it if you remove some of the links pointing to us. Some people will remove it, others won't. And if they don't remove it after you try reaching out to them multiple times, you can go to Google's disavow tool. Just go to the URL on this page and create a disavow file. They show you how to do it, and remove the bad links. In other words, you're telling Google, yes, I tried getting these sites to stop linking to me. They won't, but please ignore these links and don't count it against me. And you just choose your file and upload it, and you're off to the races. And you'll notice that a lot of those links over time won't hurt you then. The next factor to look at is schema markup. Whenever you do a Google search for things like a recipe and it tells you what the recipe is, you can see the image and the reviews and how long it takes to cook that recipe. That's an example of a schema markup. Google's not making up that information. They're getting that from your website code on how long that recipe takes to make, the review ratings, so that way they can bring that to the top of the search results. Because whenever you search for something on Google and you see one listing with a nice image and some good reviews and a low cook time, assuming you're searching for a recipe, what are you going to do? You're more likely to click on that than someone else's site. And schema markup shows Google all this information and brings it so that way when someone's searching, they can see it all. And you can use Google's structured data markup helper tool to create that data to bring it up for your website. Now, you may not have the pizzazz as a recipe site, but that's okay. Every site, or most sites, can have structured data. And it ends up helping you create it. You put in your URL, select elements, and it'll tell you what to mark it up for. Like, hey, this is an author, this is a date, this is an article, right? It ends up giving them the information. These are reviews. You can just select it. You don't have to be technical. You can do it all through their WYSIWYG editor. Then at the end, they give you some code, and boom, you add that code to your site. The next thing to check out is sitemaps. So within Google Search Console, you want to upload a sitemap. A sitemap tells Google, hey, here are all the pages on my website. Make sure you index as many as you can. The reason I say as many as you can, because sometimes they don't index all of them. It's up to them. Maybe they don't like certain pieces of content. Maybe they do. But you want to make sure you submit your sitemap because it gives you the best chance of getting more and more pages indexed. Then, of course, you want to look at your robots.txt file. Are you blocking any specific pages? And throughout Google, you can end up through Search Console, you can see if any pages are blocked, they report on it. You can just put in any URL like yourwebsite.com/robots.txt and you can see what's being blocked or what's not. And if it's important pages being blocked, you need to fix that. You don't want Google not being able to crawl pages that you want people to find you from. You also want to look at your site structure. Does your site flow really well? Are you linking all the pages together that make sense? That internal linking really helps boost your rankings. If you're not doing a ton of internal linking, you're not going to do as well. Remember how I showed you that top pages report? If you have a new website, you won't see much there, but if you have an existing website and a ton of traffic, you want to make sure you're linking to those top pages when it makes sense, because it'll even help them get more traffic, more social shares, more backlinks over time. And of course, last but not least, I want you to check for penalties. So go to Google Search Console, look at manual actions, and just make sure there's no issues detected, because if there are, you want to fix them. So before we end this, make sure you go to neilpatel.com/training if you're not already there and download the following worksheets so that way we can fix all your site errors. The first one I want you to do is download and complete your SEO audit checklist. Then I want you to download and audit your performance. So download that Excel sheet. Of course, last but not least, I want you to audit your competitors' performance and download that Excel sheet because it'll break down how to do everything step by step. Next week, I'm going to be covering how you can find the right topic ideas that work every time. So that way when you write content, you actually get traffic. And then when you're writing that content, I want to make sure you don't continually get stuck in that loop of just saying, hey, I have writer's block, or hey, I've written the content, but no one's visiting it. On top of that, I'm going to break down how you can beat your competition, which is really important because you're going to be competing with them for some of the same terms. And in addition to that, as long as you follow my step-by-step approach, you'll know how to find and write top ranking content. So thank you for following this lesson. Let my team and I know if you have any questions. We're here to help. We want to see you succeed. Make sure you go and do the assignments. It doesn't take that long. And once you do them all, you'll start seeing better and better results over time as long as you're following everything step by step. If you're confused, you're lost, please let us know. We're here to help. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today is another day of SEO Unlocked. And today I'm going to be covering content marketing part 1. So we're going to get into the fundamentals, and then the next lesson is going to go over step-by-step tactics that you need to implement to get results through content marketing. Before we get started, I want to let you know, don't look back and ask why, look ahead and ask why not. Because as we cover content marketing, what you'll find is a lot of companies are asking, hey, why should I end up doing it? Well, you should end up doing it because it produces results, and I have some stats to show you later on. But before we get started, let's look at the evolution of Google. What most people don't know is Google does more than one algorithm update per day. And as they've gone around over the years, they've gotten smarter and smarter, where now a lot of it is related to artificial intelligence, and they're really able to predict what humans want. If you look at Alphabet's parent structure, you'll notice that they have a lot of key initiatives that involve AI, from self-driving cars to even Google Home, that is trying to predict what you're looking for and what you want and trying to answer it, right? So it's not just their search engine that's using artificial intelligence and machine learning. And one quote that I love when it comes to content marketing is from Content Marketing Institute. I'm not going to read the whole quote, but the key point that I want to end up pointing out here in this quote is consistent content. Most people get it wrong with content marketing, which they're not consistent. And it starts with a consistent process. If your process is consistent, kind of like a machine in which you're building this machine that can continually crank out high quality content on a consistent basis, you'll do well. In other words, if you're not consistently awesome, you won't do well when it comes to your traffic. With one of my first blogs back in the day, I no longer own it. It's called Quick Sprout. I used to write content every single week. And then when I stopped for a month, I saw a 30+% dip in traffic, and it took me over 3 months just to recover that loss in traffic. That's how important it is to be consistent. Content marketing is also on the rise. It's getting more popular over time. A quick stat for you is there's over 1 billion blogs on the web. That's roughly 1 blog for every 7 people. People wouldn't be creating all these blogs if it wasn't producing a positive ROI. So why is content marketing important? I'll go over a few of the main bullet points. Conversion rates are 6 times higher for adopters against non-adopters. It results into increased brand awareness. 91% of B2B marketers use content marketing, so it's not just for B2C, it's also for B2B as well. 27% of US internet users now have ad blocking installed, so you're not going to get to as many people as you're used to through ads. So content marketing is another way to attract more people. And if you adapt, you can win. It's a great way to compete against the bigger corporations. And that's what I really got into, is because when you have little to no budget and you want to compete with the big guys, ads are expensive, but content marketing is a good solution for you. If you do this, it'll also help you build trust and authority with your ideal audience, which generates quite a bit of sales. 2 quick case studies for you. Skincare by Elena. I've known Elena and Jared for a while, husband and wife couple. They run the skincare site. It's amazing. You got to check it out. Through content marketing and SEO, they're able to grow their revenue by over 150% in 1 year. Organic traffic grew by 275%. In other words, their revenue and traffic climbed through a combination of SEO and content marketing, and the SEO was mainly driven through content. Here's another one. This was private label extensions. Similar to Skincare by Elena, their revenue increased from 3.1 million to 7.9 million. They were also on the Inc. 500 list, which is a list for the top 500 fastest growing companies in the United States. They were on it 2 years in a row. And of course, their SEO traffic increased by 400% over a 6-month period, which is amazing. When you're doing content marketing, if you don't understand your customers' problems, you won't do well. It's all about finding the balance between the keywords that you want to target with your site and the content. If you have content that blends in and adapts with those keywords and they flow together, you'll do well. But if your keywords clash with your content, you're going to have content, maybe people like it, but it won't rank. If you have keywords that are searched a lot, but you don't blend it in with your content, sure, search engines like it, but users won't like it. They won't read those pages. You'll have terrible user metrics like bounce rates, and you'll find that your pages won't rank on Google. When it comes to e-commerce, you need to know the journey, especially with content marketing. From discovering the potential problem, to understanding it, to then figuring out solutions, to the type of product that you want to test the solution against, comparing your brand with other brands for the same type of product. You also want to search for discount codes, see if people are using content for that. You want to look for your product specifically, see if there's good content around that. And of course, creative applications for your product. And this one applies to innovative products specifically, right? And I'll go over examples of that in the upcoming lessons. Now, I don't want you to think content marketing is just for B2C. It also works well for B2B. Crazy Egg, one of the companies I co-founded, we were able to grow to over 100,000 users, and a lot of that had to deal with content marketing. As you can see, the traffic on Crazy Egg has continually risen. This is a screenshot from Ubersuggest. This is just from the organic search traffic. And when we first started Crazy Egg, before we launched, we were really interviewing people, trying to figure out the problems and creating content around how our tool, it was an analytics tool, still is, could be used to help people out. So for example, if you're doing A/B testing on your website to increase conversions, you can use Crazy Egg for that. And we would have articles on our blog talking about how you can use Crazy Egg to maximize your conversion rate. We, in essence, really drill down to our target audience, because if you don't drill down to your target audience, you're going to get your content wrong, and you're also going to get wrong on where they're hanging out. So for example, you don't always have to produce content for your own website. You can also publish on other people's websites. So we went to a lot of the design websites and galleries there, bought ads, and even published content there. And that helped us get a ton of traction, super effective. And a lot of people are like, you're not just publishing content on your own blog. And I'm like, yeah, because if my potential customers are reading other blogs that have millions of visitors, why wouldn't I try to get my content featured there as well? And I did that mainly through guest posting, which we'll go over in SEO Unlocked, but I also did that through press. You don't have to hire a PR agency. If you want, there's a guy named Chris Barrett, prserve.com. He's performance-based. If he gets you press, he charges you. If he doesn't charge you. And we created our own list of popular blogs offer them a free account, help them get our tool set up, and a lot of them just blogged on it. In other words, we got super creative. And creativity is a huge component in doing well with content marketing. What I want you to do is follow this process step by step, because I know not everyone has those creative juices flowing, and that's okay. So I figured out a formula, and we call it the Franklin's Law of Content Success, Benjamin Franklin, lightning. And with this formula, we found that even if you're not that creative, you don't have to worry. Just following this formula will get you results. So the first step in Franklin's Law of Content Success is string ideas. How do you find out your ideas? Which pages do you optimize first? How do you know what's already working? How do you know what your competition's focusing on? Well, you can grab your keyword ideas from the earlier modules that we covered in SEO Unlocked, because we already covered how to find those keywords. And within there, you'll have a list of keywords, and that should also give you some topics that you could go after as well. Another thing that we've also discussed is the musketeer intent. What type of keywords do you want to end up going after? A lot of times, if you're a newer website, low volume keywords under 1,000 visits are easier, quicker wins and can still provide an ROI. The higher volume terms, if you're more established, you have more authority, they can also do extremely well for you. But I recommend most of you start with the lower volume keywords that you filled out within your musketeer intent key plot points. Now that you have some keywords, you want to first figure out who you are, because not every company is the same. Let's say you're a sustainable clothing brand. You may want a certain look, feel, image. The same goes with your content, your keywords. Some content pieces may not match your image, your culture, your brand, so you wouldn't want to end up doing it. This is super important, especially at the beginning. You don't want to go off brand, because yes, it may drive traffic, but if it's off brand, it probably won't drive any sales. And this is both for B2B and B2C. An easy way is to figure out what's already working for your own website. If you have a new website, put in a competitor's name, go visit Ubersuggest, type in your site name, and head over to the Keywords tab in the left navigation sidebar. Again, if you have little to no traffic and you have a brand new site or you've done little to no SEO, put in a competitor's domain here, because when you add a competitor's domain name, you'll be able to see what's working for them, and it's a great place to start. This will take you to a page that shows you all the keywords that you're getting traffic for or your competition's getting traffic for, and it'll give you an idea on the right side of the report of who else is ranking, and it'll give you an essence of, all right, how much traffic can I get if I ranked higher? Is this keyword representative of my brand? Will it work well? So it's all great strategies when it comes to figuring out, here are the main keywords that we think are right fit or that are a bad fit. I also like looking at the top pages report in Ubersuggest, especially with my competition, because on the top pages report, you can end up clicking view all under estimated visits. It shows you all the keywords that the top pages on your competition's website is ranking for. This is important because it tells you what pages that you should consider replicating when it comes to content on your own website. And of course, you'll want to make yours better than the competition. When looking at the keywords that your competitors are ranking for, make sure that the keywords have good volume, they're driving good traffic, high CPC, and low SEO difficulty. If they meet those criteria, those keywords are the ones that are the most likely to convert into sales. Another report that you should look at is a content ideas report. If you put in a keyword within your space, it'll tell you all the popular blog posts that are already working well in your space based off of estimated visits from Google, social shares, and even how many other people are linking to them. This will all give you ideas of what's working and what's not. Another thing that I like looking at is the keyword ideas report. So in the left navigation of Ubersuggest, click on keyword ideas, and it'll show you all the other keywords that you could be going after. There's a related tab, there's a comparisons tab. This is great because the comparisons tab may show other keywords or other brands that people may be comparing you to. And as I mentioned earlier, with either the content ideas report or even the top pages, you can see all the backlinks pointing to a URL. You can click all the view all, and you can see who in your space is linking to the competitors that may link to you. And you want to go after these people and see if you can get them to link to you as well. In essence, all of this shows you and teaches you what's already working because you don't want to recreate the wheel. Might as well already use what's working for your competition. And that's why I like doing things like looking at the backlinks report within Ubersuggest. It shows me all the people linking to my competition, and I try to create similar pages of the ones on my competitor sites, so that way I can hit up all these sites and get them to link back to me as well. And as I mentioned, top pages, really look at backlinks and social shares as well as estimated visits. When you combine all three of these metrics, you're much more likely to create pages that hit versus pages that only have one of these metrics, right? If a page only has high estimated visits but low backlinks and low social shares, it's not going to do as well as one that has all three. One thing that I want you to do is go and figure out what channels the content lives within. Head to Ubersuggest, search for your keyword term, review which sources are popular, and note them down. Because you may find that some of these pages and content pieces do really well on Facebook while others do well on Pinterest. Well, if they do well on Facebook, now you know what content you should be targeting for Facebook. And if they do well on Pinterest, now you know, hey, these pieces of content will do better on Pinterest. Let me go and put them on Pinterest and not promote them on Facebook. Because if you're promoting content on Facebook that doesn't do well and you keep pushing and promoting on Facebook, Facebook will be like, you keep promoting content that our users don't like. So even in the future, if you promote a content that our users would like, we're not going to show it because our algorithm is going to flag your account as low quality. Some last points before we get into the next section of Franklin's Law. I want you to take note of the content types that work and look at what content pieces that your competition has that you've never talked about. Also look at related topics. It's the related tab within the keyword ideas section. And don't forget to take advantage of video. Video is huge, especially on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. It's blowing up there altogether. And when you're looking at all these videos, content pieces, especially ones that your competition is using, go to their site and see how the comments and engagement are. If the comments and engagements are great, that's another sign that people love the content. We also have a worksheet for you. You can find it below, or if you're on a social channel watching this video, you can go to neilpatel.com/training and then head over to SEO Unlocked, and you'll be able to find it there. And this worksheet will help you generate the right ideas with the right titles. I like putting a lot of my competitor one in here that they've written, their traffic, their keyword count, and putting in their backlink information. This all helps me generate ideas for the future. The next step of Franklin's Law of Content Success is the target kite. What I want you to do now is head back over to Ubersuggest and put in some of the keywords, or start with mainly one keyword that your competition is ranking for that you want to go after. Click on the keyword ideas report, look for all the other suggestions, but more importantly, look on the right side who's ranking for it. Look at their pages of content, and when you click through to all their sites, it'll give you an idea of what they're doing successful and what you need to copy. And you can do the same thing through top pages. And in top pages, you would end up putting in a domain name of your competition. I know I've discussed this, but the reason I'm re-emphasizing this is if you don't do this, you're going to end up writing content that gets no traffic. And no one likes that feeling because it's a waste of time, energy, and even money. But when you go to the top pages and you're seeing, hey, my competition is ranking for these keywords, and you're seeing that page, click through and go to their website. Sometimes they won't have a heavy text-based page. It could be a lot of images. Everyone thinks that, hey, the best content pages are all text. Well, a lot of them have videos and images. Some of them even sell products. They don't always have text. You want to see what they have on their pages. Think about how you can make it better so you can beat them and create a better page. You want to really dive into their content. What would people like to see that would help them more on this page? Oh, are they selling a product or service? Is the cost clear? Is the benefits clear? Are the reviews clear? Well, if none of that's clear, you'll know how you can make it better. Or even if it's just an educational piece. Does it give step-by-step instructions? Are the instructions clear? Would I know how to replicate them through 1, 2, 3, 4? Do they need images or videos to help describe the steps so then that way people can end up getting better results from reading that content and it could be more actionable? Keep all those things in mind because it'll help you produce better content. Again, some quick checks. When you're creating content on your own site, you want to also look at the keywords that your competitors are ranking for similar pages. And when you can, intertwine those keywords within your own content because it'll help you rank for those keywords as well. As I mentioned, you also want to check out reviews, read all the reviews, see what customers think, because this will give you feedback on how to adjust your content, your service, your product, so it can be better than the competition. There's also another worksheet called Conquer Worksheet. This will help you conquer your competition. Make sure you fill it out. If you don't see it here below because you're on a social site and watching this video, you can go to neilpatel.com/training. Go to SEO Unlocked as a course, and then from there, when you go to the right video, you'll find all the files. The next step of Franklin's Law of Content Success is supercharged content. If you don't supercharge things, you won't get the results that you're looking for. So here's an example of supercharged content. As you can see, it's above and beyond. There's images, there's custom graphics. It's something that stands out and isn't the normal. That's an example of supercharged content. You want to download examples based on your industry. Google stuff. Look at the stuff in the content ideas report in Ubersuggest. Some of them will be that supercharged type of content. This is the type of stuff that is the gold standard that you want to copy. You don't want to copy them word for word. You want to do better than them, but you want to copy the concept of how they're going above and beyond with their quality. So what is supercharged content? It's in-depth and highly useful. Long form content like thousands and thousands of words that don't contain fluff, that are relevant, contains accurate data and insights. And when you're using this data and insights, you need to cite your sources. It stands out from the crowd and it satisfies a need or a want. That's supercharged content. You want to educate your reader. That's one of the simplest ways to supercharge your content. I love doing in-depth step-by-step walkthroughs and backing everything up with stats and data and citing my sources so people know I'm not full of it and everything that I'm telling them will help them get results. I also am not afraid of conflict. So when I write content and I have my opinion or a viewpoint, I'll stick with it. I won't go back and forth and flip-flop. I'll stick with my viewpoint even if people disagree with me. And that also helps create more comments, more social shares, more backlinks, and makes the content more popular because when you polarize your audience, yes, you're going to get some people who hate you or who may disagree, not really hate, but more so disagree. But you're going to get a lot of people who strongly agree, and those are the people who are more likely to share. You also want to do research, very specific facts, data, insights. Make sure the stats aren't old. You can Google for this data. So anytime you're trying to include research within your content piece and you're not sure what to include, Google it. You'll end up finding a ton of relevant new data, and make sure you cite your sources. Just don't steal from other people. And this also proves and gives you more credibility over time because people are like, Neil really knows what he's talking about. Look at all these stats and data points that he used, and he backed it up so we know he's not full of it. Whenever you do a Google search for research, as long as you use the word stats or statistics or data at the end of your query, you'll find a lot of results that you can potentially pull from. Be careful with research though. If it's not a reputable source or they don't have a good reputation, it could be false information, and citing it could hurt your credibility in the long run. Here's an example of a case study that's using data. Harry's Marketing, what we learned from reverse engineering a $400 million startup. That's cool. It piques your interest. People are like, what did Harry's do? I want to copy that formula, especially if I'm a marketer. Another aspect that's huge is design. Pretty goes a long way on the web. But pretty that loads slow doesn't go a long way on the web. So it has to be pretty and minimalistic, in which the design doesn't just look good, make the content more readable, but also loads super fast. And if you can use design to help you out, you'll do really well. Logos are another great way to build up more trust and authority within your design. I just took a lot of trust seals from the web. You wouldn't be using them in the content, but if you look, probably wondering why, it's because they build trust. The same goes with stats and data and logos and other elements like that you put within the design of your content. Here's some pretty examples of nicely designed content pieces. These are just rule of thumbs as what you really want to end up looking for. Last but not least in Franklin's Law of Content Success is key personnel. You could try to do everything on your own, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's how I started out. But as you grow, you want to be working with the team. And we use Trello for our team. And you can have researchers, writers, editors, and you can see that it's broken down in phases. And when you do this, it creates an easy, streamlined formula to create content at mass scale. Now, I don't do this for neilpatel.com because I only blog once a week. But if I was blogging 10 times a week or something like that, I would be using this process because it will allow me to scale. Writers, they typically like writing in Google Docs or WordPress, and that's fine. Have them outline first because then it streamlines it. The last thing you want is a writer to write and then it not work out because you're just like, I don't like what they're writing. Well, if you had their outline first, you can stop them ahead of time if you don't like what they're producing. Then, of course, editors usually edit within WordPress. A lot of them use Grammarly, the Chrome extension. That also helps with the editing process. And if you want to hire people, don't worry, we'll go into that more in depth next week. As long as you follow everything in Franklin's formula, you'll have supercharged content that can rank well on Google. So now I have 3 action items for you before we end this lesson. 1, I want you to download the ideas title sheet and create 5 target pages to beat. 2, find 3 data sources that are relevant for your industry. That way you can source people and cite them. And of course, last but not least, download our examples of supercharged content. That way you have an understanding of what to produce and what not to. Again, if you need these files, you can head over to neilpatel.com/training, go to SEO Unlocked, and you'll be able to see all the files and lessons there. It's under each video. Thank you for watching. I look forward to continually educating you and helping you get loved by Google. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today I'm going to teach you about the WHIPS concept when it comes to content marketing. If you follow this concept, even if you're not the best writer, you'll be able to attract the right type of audience and then convert them into a customer. With content marketing, you don't need to be the best writer. You just need to understand your reader. If you think about the Neil Patel blog, read any of my blog posts. I bet you'll see some grammar and spelling errors. Yes, I have editors and I try to avoid them, but still there's errors every once in a while. It's because I'm not the best writer, but I understand my reader really well. If you don't understand your reader, just remind yourself of your musketeer. If you haven't filled out the musketeer worksheet, go to the previous lessons and then fill it out. You can find it at neilpatel.com/training. This will allow you to truly understand your customer, so then that way you can target them and generate sales as well. When you're writing, I don't want you to just continually stare at a blank page and take forever to create content. It shouldn't. And if you follow the WHIPS concept, you won't have to worry about that one bit. WHIPS is all about page awareness. And there's 5 main sections of the WHIPS framework: from window shoppers, help me, inform me, persuade me, and show me. And I'm going to break them down one step at a time. So window shopper, they're usually interested in purchasing something, but they might not be from you. So someone's like, yeah, I'm looking to buy this purse, or I'm looking to buy this bag or wallet or whatever it may be, but they don't know exactly if it's going to be from you or another store. Then there's a help me. They're aware of their issue, but they don't know how to overcome it. They're always Googling, searching for a solution. And if you're using the keyword ideas report in Ubersuggest, it'll help you find a lot of help me keywords. Then, of course, inform me. They're aware of the solution, but they don't know where to get it. So when someone's Googling for the solution, you want to make sure they find your site. And again, you can get these keywords, the inform me type of ones, from the keyword ideas report within Ubersuggest. Persuade me. These people know about a product or service and the competitors. And that's a really important part. They not just know about the product or service, but they know about the competitors as well. These are typical comparison keywords: EX, MailChimp versus ConvertKit. They're both email marketing solutions, but which one should I buy? And again, if you're looking for comparison related keywords that are more so related to Persuade Me, you can find them in the comparison tab on Ubersuggest. And of course, there's Show Me. They knows about the specific product or service. They just need the final push. You just need to tell them, hey, if you use this product or service, it'll do this for you. And here's how amazing it is. And here's all the testimonials. Now that you know who you're targeting, you want to make sure you don't get stuck in the problem loop. See, if you're a perfectionist, you're going to be like, oh my God, this piece isn't perfect. I can't push it out there. Don't worry about that. I push out content all the time that's not perfect. You also don't want to be one that just continually has all these ideas on what you want to blog on, but you never take action and you don't release anything. Or you don't want to be that changeling who creates something and then constantly changes, because if you keep changing your content, keep changing, your ideas before you publish or write anything, you're never going to win and succeed. Instead of continually being stuck in that problem loop, I want you to take a page out of Dave Brailsford's book. Dave Brailsford is a British cycling coach. His team has won the Tour de France 6 times, and he believes in marginal gains. And I do too, and that's the same that goes with your content or your SEO. It's not one shot, it's not one thing that gets you to the finish line and beats your competition. It's a lot of little things that add up. And when you do all these little things right, that's how you win. Just look at Toyota. They built a $272 billion revenue year business. They did it how? By continually getting better year over year over the last 80 plus years. That's the key to success. It's little small improvements over time. You're in control of your own success. As long as you try to do little things and continually get better, you can win big over time. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen over time. And to help jumpstart you, I want you to have my 2020 rulebook. You can download this at neilpatel.com/training. It's underneath the video in SEO Unlocked. And this rulebook breaks down 20 things that'll help you become better content marketers. The first one is put people first. If you help people and always put them first, you're much more likely to succeed. Number 2, you want to create content that teaches. If your content doesn't teach and educate people and really provide a benefit where they're done reading and they're like, oh, I learned this, you're not going to do well. Number 3, create a conversation. By creating a conversation, by using the words you and I within your blog post, it's going to feel like they're right there in front of you having a conversation with you, and they're much more likely to stick around. 4, define your own tone. Use your own voice. Do what's natural for you. Don't try to copy someone else's voice. You also want to write to one person. Remember, yes, thousands of people could be reading your content, but it's one person at a time. So make sure that you're writing to that one person. That way it's much more personable. You can also use Google Voice instead of typing. So in Google Docs, you can use the voice feature. A lot of times I'll just talk and it'll write things down, and then I'll go back and then modify it. Number 7, use active voice over passive voice. Active voice is like, you stole the cookie from the cookie jar. Passive voice is like, the cookie was stolen from the cookie jar. Active voice is much more appealing. I also want you to keep your sentences short, 2 to 3 sentences max per paragraph. Typically, a paragraph will be around 5 or 6 lines max, hence 2 to 3 sentences. I also want you to use simple words. It doesn't matter if you went to Ivy League school or graduated from Harvard, your reader probably doesn't have an Ivy League education. I hate when people use complex words or technical jargon. It is really a big pet peeve for me. You also want to back up your findings with research. If you're using data, trying to prove a point, you need to back it all up with research. If you don't, you're not going to be seen as an expert. And this can be done through images, infographics, stats, studies, whatever it may be that shows that you're just not making up your data. And if you don't know how to find research within your space, Google a keyword and add the word data or stats at the end. So like SEO stats, SEO data, that's an example. 11, read inspirational writers. I read people like Seth Godin or Guy Kawasaki. Love their writing style. Go find ones that really resonate with you. Read it because it'll help you become a better writer. You also want to add visual media. I use a ton of images as well as videos and even sometimes audio file, and it helps convey my message. An image says 1,000 words, right? 13, you want to guide your user to their next step. Let them know what they need to do step by step, and make sure you interlink to other related content pieces that can help them with their journey. And of course, with your blog post, I love wrapping things up with a conclusion. So at the end of my blog post, I always put a conclusion, because what I learned over time through heat map studies using Crazy Egg, a lot of people will go to your blog post, scroll all the way down, read the conclusion. If they like it, they'll scroll back up and then read the rest. 15, start with a personal story. Storytelling is a 1,000-plus-year-old marketing tactic. It works really well. I love leading with personal stories. And, if you look at all the whole film industry in Hollywood, they love using stories. It's because it's addicting and people really get hooked in. 16, edits can wait. Your piece doesn't have to be perfect. Heck, sometimes I publish things and then we go back and edit them later because we found that there was a lot of issues, or usually not actually a lot, but usually small issues, and we clean them up, and that's okay. 17, end with the question. And when they leave a comment, I make sure I respond to each and every single one. 18, promise yourself to start. If you don't have a routine and you're not writing content consistently, you're not going to crank out enough to get traffic and for SEO to work out for you. 19, create a solid outline. It doesn't take more than 45 minutes to create a blog post in general once you get really good at it. But if you're just starting out, of course, it usually will take you longer. But my formula is a hook, then the opening, then a body, and then a close. Close is the conclusion. And 20, let the content rest for a day. I let my content sit for a day before I publish it. And the reason being is when it sits for a day, what ends up happening is I'll think of ways to make it better, and then I'll go in and edit it before I publish. Now, last but not least, I want you to head over to neilpatel.com/training, go to the SEO Unlocked, go to this video lesson if you're not already there. And below this video, you'll find the WIPs awareness cheat sheet, download the rulebook, and of course, download the list post template below and create your first draft post. I look forward to helping you grow your traffic through content marketing. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today is another day of SEO Unlocked. Now we're going to dive into the advanced parts of content marketing. So this week's going to be really fun. Last week we learned about the basics of content marketing. This week we're going to get into the advanced elements as well as writing content that you can be publishing on your own website. Before we get started, I love starting off with a quote. Great content is the best sales tool in the world. I've grown my businesses over the years through content. It's been one of the most effective sales tactic for me yet, especially when you're starting off small and you don't have the budgets as the big companies. Again, here's a quick recap of SEO Unlocked. Over the next few weeks, we'll then get into link building, and then we're going to get into mastering Ubersuggest as well as branding and customer experience. There's a lot of businesses that are successful due to content marketing. From what we research around the web, TechCrunch, over 20 million, Huffington Post, 146 million. Those are just some examples. There's so many businesses that make millions and millions through content marketing. Another big one is NerdWallet. I believe over time, they can end up becoming, if they're already not yet, a multi-billion-dollar company just through content marketing. Quick recap. When we covered part 1 last week, if you didn't watch that video, make sure you go back. You can find it on neilpatel.com/training and go to SEO Unlocked, or you can find it on any of the social channels where I'm publishing content. Make sure you go and watch part 1. In there, I break down how to find content ideas, and I also give you the Google Sheets file that'll be helpful for you, as well as the 2020 rulebook that you need to really create killer content. When you're creating content, there's many different content types out there, and you need to make sure that you master each and every single one, because different ones can be used for different things. Some are better for selling, some are better for getting traffic, some are better for getting backlinks. And I want to go over some of the main content type of pieces that I use to generate more traffic. The first one is list. You've seen them. Magazines are notoriously known for using them all the time. They're scannable, they're quick, they're actionable. Usually list posts are either short or they're super long, like 7 ways to lose weight or 101 ways to lose weight. Typically, the longer the list, the shorter information you're going to get for each point. The shorter the list, like let's say it's 7, typically people go more in depth on each list point. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. Here's some proof in the pudding. If you look at Neil Patel, use Ubersuggest to see some of my most popular post pages. A lot of them are list-based content. It's that effective. You can do lists in a unique way in which when you're going through it, you can integrate it in a conversational type. And here's an example of someone doing that. So lists don't just have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do it in a conversational way, answer questions, and that has been very effective as well. And it's like the reader feels you're talking to them in a conversation versus just speaking at them on stage and it being dry and boring. Another content type, this is one of my favorites as well, infographics. My old startup, even though it did fail, Kiss Metrics, we were able to build over 2.5 million visitors and 41,000 backlinks from over 3,000 unique sites through 47 infographics. Quick math for ROI on that, if we had to pay for that and use other sources to get that traffic, it would have cost us over $948,000. But we were able to get those results for less than $30,000. We spent $28,200. That shows you that infographics produce a huge ROI. You can do it on any subject, any topic. But the key with infographics is not to abuse it. A lot of people go out there and be like, oh, this infographic on computers will do really well. Let me publish it on my dentist's website. Well, if you have a dentist website that talks about teeth and cleaning teeth, what does an infographic on computers has to do with dentists and dental stuff? Has to do nothing. So don't abuse it. Make sure the infographic is very relevant to your website and your content. Next type of content, social media. On social sites like YouTube, you can publish video. On sites like Twitter, 1 or 2 quick sentences. Sites like LinkedIn, you can do paragraphs, video, images. Facebook, videos, images, sentences, paragraphs, even whole posts. Depending on the social platform, the type of content that they accept is going to vary largely. And a lot of the content that you see on these social platforms that you can also use even on your own website is video. Video is the biggest booming content out there that is going to be more and more popular through the next coming years. On YouTube alone, I can get on a bad month 800,000+ views. On a good month, well over 1 million views a month on videos. And then I can take the same video content, repurpose it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So in total, I can get millions and millions of views a month. It's that powerful. There's also podcasts as well. On the neilpatel.com/blog page, you'll see a link to my marketing school podcast. Every day I release a new episode there. Of course, I link to my videos as well. Then there's also webinars. I used to use these way more in the past. I don't do them as much anymore, just the time. Although my team and I, we should probably start doing webinars multiple times a month. And you know what? We'll probably start doing them again just because I'm seeing this right now. You don't get as many people to attend a webinar because it takes more time commitment from them, but they're super engaged and they're much more likely to convert into a paying customer. Tools is one of the best form of content marketing, and it is my favorite. It actually produces a better ROI. It is harder to do. Within my articles, sometimes I'll have interactive tools and widgets. Like I have a blog post on how to start a blog, and in there I have a little widget/tool that teaches you, hey, how to find the right domain name. You also know about Ubersuggest. That tool drives more traffic than any singular piece of content on my website. You also have the SEO analyzer, which goes into Ubersuggest. That's the site audit report. Also have an A/B testing calculator. Again, another really popular page. And when you look at my top pages in Ubersuggest, you'll see that a lot of them are tools. It's that effective. Checklists. People love having the sense of accomplishment, and you can give them that with checklists. So you can create a blog post that has 8 steps or 7 steps or 10 steps, and people can go through them step by step. In addition, you can create a PDF file and let them download the checklist, and in exchange for downloading it, you can get their name and email address, which is another amazing thing to do because it'll help you grow your email list, build up your brand, and of course, get a really loyal following. I use the hybrid approach more frequently than any other approach. What I mean by the hybrid approach is a lot of times I'll do how-to articles and blend in lists in there with videos and images. I'm mixing everything together, whether it's even on the social web or even on my own blog, because people interact and comprehend content in different ways. So for example, I'll write a blog post on ways to get more search traffic. But then there's some people who prefer it in video format, so I'll do the same thing in a video format. And over the years, I've released so much content and video lessons on SEO, but a lot of people want a step-by-step way of learning SEO. Hence, I released SEO Unlocked. right? You guys are all listening in right now. And this isn't me on camera. This is more so me doing a voiceover over a PowerPoint, presentation. And then on top of that, I'm also including worksheets, PDFs. This is another form of content marketing. So you got to look at the hybrid approach. And the reason I say that is everyone comprehends and understands content in a different way because their brains all operate differently. So by using a hybrid approach, you can make sure that no matter who the person is, they're getting value from your content. I also did a 100K challenge to prove to anyone that you can build a business that generates 100K a month in less than 12 months through content marketing. And I was able to do that. I did it without using my name and in a random industry that I don't know anything about. The audience picked nutrition. The only thing I know about nutrition is I'm skinny because I'm a poor eater, as my mom would say. Funny enough, I will eat junk food every once in a while, like ice cream and stuff. I love ice cream to death. But I don't know much about nutrition. And other than I'm skinny because I run a lot or work out, whatever it may be, or just good genetics. But yeah, I was still able to build a nutrition site that did really well. We collected a lot of emails. And eventually we hit the over $100,000 mark selling supplements. Doesn't mean I did $100,000 a month in profit or anything like that. The challenge was to create a business that did $100,000 a month in revenue. Eventually, I stopped dealing with the nutrition site. It was called Nutrition Secrets. Reason being is I wasn't passionate about nutrition. So Legion Athletics, one of my buddies, eventually ended up taking it over and then redirecting it to his site. And it caused their organic traffic to go up. If you want that case study, you can download it at neilpatel.com/training. Go into SEO Unlocked. You'll see the whole reference to how I did it step by step. But when you're doing content, there is a secret sauce, and most people don't talk about it. Just creating list-based content or creating infographics, it doesn't always produce the results that you're looking for. And I wanted to go over my secret sauce. It's not that complex. It's really simple to follow. It really comes down to these 10 commandments of content outlines. And that's what my secret sauce is. If you follow these 10 steps, you're much more likely to produce content that hits and gets traffic. Because no matter what people tell you about content marketing, there is no guarantee that if someone or you publish a blog post and write one, that it's going to hit. A lot of times, even me, my blog posts don't hit, but sometimes, actually a large portion of the time, they hit. And the reason they hit in many cases is because I follow this formula right here. So the first one is word count. I look at my competition. And is my competition writing blog posts that are 1,000 words, 2,000 words, 5,000 words? If you're not sure, just copy and paste their webpage or their blog post and put it into Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and it'll tell you what the word count is. I look at it, word count, and I'm like, all right, can I make my content better, more thorough, more valuable than theirs? Or does it contain a ton of fluff? Because if it does, I can make mine shorter, more condensed, and give people the actions that they need quicker and better, so that way they're happier and have a better user experience. And I also try to write content on a consistent basis, so that helps me crank out the word count that I need on a regular basis. Second thing is tone. I love being positive. A lot of people are negative. If you're negative, people just hate that. There's no reason to be. Try to be positive, and also use your musketeer persona to become their hero. So you already know the musketeer intent. If not, go back to the previous lessons and go through the musketeer worksheet that is provided on neilpatel.com/training. Just go to SEO Unlocked and you'll see it there. And once you download that, fill it out, and it'll help you understand the right tone so you can mimic your audience. Then it comes down to the introduction. Introduction is super important. There's a lot of aspects of the introduction. The first sentence has to have a purpose to entice the reader to continually read. If your first sentence doesn't hook them and entice them, they're going to drop off and just click the back button. I also love asking readers questions in my introductions because it creates that engagement and it creates that bond between me and the reader. I also use words to create that story in their head, right? That imagination. So by using words that are very descriptive, it allows me to help paint that picture for the individual. And when you're thinking about your introduction, there's many ways of doing it. Another way, and this generates a lot of sales, is through pre-selling. So Apple introduces their products through launches. And what they'll do is they'll pre-sell before their launch and get you hot and ready for, one of their phones. And this is old now, but Apple's had many different versions of a watch, like a watch just came out, or iPhone 11 or iPhone 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever number that they're going towards. And when they're doing it, it's not as simple as, hey, we're Apple and we have this idea and then we're going to have an event. There's all these things that happen in between. And usually what those things in between are is announcements. Those announcements, when they're slowly releasing what features they're giving out or what's going to happen or how it can help you, that's when you start seeing huge, massive lifts in sales and traffic. Then you get into the trigger section. This is all about the stuff in the body, from things like this, showing your rags to riches story or covering the main problem and diving really deep and even discussing the solution. And I love doing problem solution based stuff, especially in the trigger section. I use a lot of data. I really break down how the problem can be solved, why it really matters, because these are the trigger points that really appeal to people and get them going. So then that way they're like, all right, I can relate to this. I have this problem. I need this solution. It keeps them going and going. Then, of course, you really dive into the solution, and the solution solves their problems. Because once you know their trigger points and you're pushing them, you also want to give them the solution as well. Because if you don't give them the solution, they're going to be like, wait, you're telling me about the problem. Yes, I know the problem. I'm feeling this pain, but you didn't tell me how I can solve it. And if you don't back this up with data or give them a product or a service or teach them how they can solve it, then they're going to be really upset with you. You also want to cover the subtle musketeer intent. This is super important. What I mean by this is you got your musketeer intent. You don't have to address it head on. You can blend it in with your content, offer suggestions, offer your expertise through product, brand imaginary. This has to blend in so that way it's really subtle. You don't want to be really aggressive. If you're confused on this part and you're not sure what I'm referring to, that means you probably haven't filled out your musketeer worksheet. It's in the previous lessons. You can find this at neilpatel.com/training. I also love going over business wins. This is a huge part of my outline process because when there's wins, not only does it build hope for other people, but if you give them step-by-step instructions on how they can also get the wins when it comes to solving their problems and do it with ease or do it in a speedy way, that really helps. And I can't emphasize that enough, so I'm going to repeat it. Ease or speed. So if your business wins and you can show people how to do it in an easy way or in a quick way, they'll love you to death. Or if you can show them how to do both of them in a fast way and it's easy, even better. Then we get into internal linking. This is one of the main reasons neilpatel.com ranks so well on Google. It's because I interlink my website so heavily. Whenever there's another relevant piece of content that'll benefit the reader, I let them know about it. And that not only lets them continually go throughout my site, read more and more, and build a better connection with me, it also allows Google to see that I have so many pages, and it allows them to start ranking them all higher and higher versus Google struggling to find my content. Because if I wasn't using interlinking, well, after they're done crawling that page, where do they go next? By interlinking, it keeps the Google bot on my site longer, keeps them crawling more. And of course, there's also sitemaps for this as well, which we discussed in earlier lessons, but you still want to interlink. Then number 9, we get into personalization. You need to add in your own opinion, your own voice, your own flavor, your own slant, your stories. Personalize it. When you personalize your content, that's how you stand out from the competition. Because with over 1 billion blogs, how do you stand out compared to the competition? Well, you intertwine your own personal experiences and stories. Then, of course, last but not least, there's a source materials. This is where you cite all the references, all the data that you're using. That way people can see you as an expert. If you're using stats and data, don't just make them up. If you're getting them from other places, don't steal them either. Cite them. And if you don't know how to find the source data, we covered this last week, where you just Google for any term that you're looking for information on, and then you type in data at the end or statistics. So I may type in SEO space statistics or SEO data, and you'll end up finding a lot of sites that have stats and data that you can end up citing, assuming it's relevant to the article that you're publishing. So last action steps, I want you to download the 10 commandments of the content outlines. Then I want you to create your first outline. And then I want you to review your competitors' content with these commandments in mind. You can find all these sheets and PDF files at neilpatel.com/training. Head over to SEO Unlocked, and then from there, within this video, you'll see the files right below the video. Thank you, and I look forward to helping you grow your Google traffic. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today is another day of SEO Unlocked. Today, we're going to be covering editing. I want to first start off with this quote from Steve Martin. He's an actor. Many of you guys have seen him on television. I don't think anyone is ever writing so that you can throw it away. You're always writing it to be something. In other words, if you wrote something, you're not happy with it, don't worry about it. There's a whole editing process. And it starts with going and finding the right keywords. Because if you're writing content that never ranks, it's going to be harder for you to get traffic. So head on over to Ubersuggest and type in the keywords that you'll like to rank for. Whatever that keyword is or whatever you want to write on, put it on there. And Ubersuggest will tell you how popular that term is, as well as show you ideas. Now I want you to look at a few boxes on this report. The search volume, the higher the number, the better. SEO difficulty, typically when the number is 40 or lower, it's easier to rank for, and that's the keywords that you ideally want to go after if you're a new website or you haven't done much SEO. If you've been around for a long time and you have bigger SEO budgets, you can go after more and more competitive terms. Then you also want to look at the paid difficulty. Typically, the higher that number, it means the more likely that keyword is to convert. And of course, you want to look for the cost per click as well. This is how much money it would cost if you would buy this keyword. The higher the number, typically that also means the more lucrative that keyword is as well. Now that you have an idea if the keyword is good or bad, I want you to go to the left-hand navigation of Ubersuggest and click on Keyword Ideas. That'll bring you to a report that gives you more related keywords to the one you just typed in. Look for other terms that are related, and it'll show you if they're good, if they have a high SEO difficulty, a low SEO difficulty, if they're expensive, because the more expensive they are, even though you're not paying for them, it means the more likely they are to convert into customers, right? Those visitors who find you from those terms. Then I want you to go to the Content Ideas report in the left-hand navigation, click on Content Ideas, and it'll show you all the other posts that are popular related to that term. It'll give you an idea of what is working based on social share count. The higher the social shares, the more people liked it. You also want to look at the estimated visits and the backlinks column as well. The estimated visits doesn't tell you how many visits that article gets in total. It tells you how many visits that article is getting on a monthly basis from Google specifically. So the higher the number there, the better. And of course, for the backlinks number, the higher the better, because it means people are willing to link to it. I also want you to create an outline for your content. We discussed how to create an outline in the previous lesson. If you don't know how, go back. We give you the steps on doing that and follow that to create your own outline. And as you're creating your own outline and filling it in, and you're generating your content, right? In essence, you're writing. And as you're writing, finish it and then start editing after, but keep those keywords in mind while you're writing. So it's really important before you write, you go to Ubersuggest and do your research every time before you write an article. Remember, you can edit throughout the whole process. You don't have to produce a masterpiece from the first time that you're done writing that article, because in the previous lessons, we talked about that you also want your article to sit for at least 24 hours before you do anything with it. That gives you time to edit, to really think through, did I do a good job? Did I do a poor job? How can I improve it? Most people also write and edit their content in Google Docs. It's free. You should consider it. I love using Microsoft Word, but Google Docs is the free version. And Now that you have your content up and running in Google Docs, let's go over the main steps that you need to follow in order to create a masterpiece through editing. So I call it steps. As long as you follow each of them, you'll do well. The first one is you want to strive for brevity. A lot of people like adding in fluff. They're like, Neil, my competition has 2,500 words. I'm going to write 3,000 words. And that's great if you feel that you can expand upon it, have 3,000, even 5, or even 10,000 words. And if you feel that it provides value to the reader, by all means do it. But if you're just adding in fluff and wasting people's time, then they're not going to like you. So try to remove those filler words that aren't needed, like just, really, perhaps, literally, stuff, things, very, better, always. They don't really provide much value. And funny enough, I just said the word really, but think about it. And if you can take these vague words out of there, you'll be better off. You'll also want to delete redundant words. By deleting redundant words, it'll get the point across quicker, and people like that. Make sure you also check for spelling and grammar errors. People don't like that, and if you're terrible at spelling and grammar, don't worry about it. I am as well. I use a Chrome extension called Grammarly, and it makes my life really easy because it corrects my spelling and grammar better than Google does, or even better than Microsoft Word does. It's amazing, and it's free. Here's an example of a grammar issue that could be fixed. It might rain tomorrow. You don't want to start a sentence with it. And when you get more specific, people love your content much more. Example of cleaning it up is the forecast calls for rain tomorrow. It's more decisive. It's telling them, hey, this is what's going to happen tomorrow based on data. The data is the forecast, right? The weather report. The second step in steps is technical jargon. Who doesn't want to sound smart? The thing that I hate the most, and this is a big pet peeve of mine, I meet a lot of people from these Ivy League colleges, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of my best friends graduated for them. But they love using this technical jargon throughout their content, and they feel it makes them sound smart, and they're writing for their friend who also went to that Ivy League college that went with them to Harvard. But that's not the average person who's reading your text. So make your text easy to understand. Avoid using technical jargon. Avoid using complex vocabulary that most people don't know. And it's not because it means people are dumb if they don't understand the technical jargon. Remember, those people may know stuff that you don't know, or those people may be an international audience, and businesses these days are global businesses. So you need to make sure that you avoid using lingo that could mean something else in another language, or that may not translate well. Another thing I love doing is using the app, Hemingway app. It's a free website app. It'll tell you your overall score, and your overall goal is to just make your article super readable and easy to understand for anyone. Next thing, you want to ensure your writing flows. If it doesn't flow, who's going to want to read your content? You want your content to flow seamless. That way people are like, oh, this is an amazing experience. If you ever watch a TV show and it's all choppy and hard to understand, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to skip and go to the next TV show or the next movie. The same with your writing. If it's hard to understand, people are going to be like, all right, I'm going back and I'm going to go read some other article around the web. So the easiest way to ensure that your article flows is to check to make sure that you're using subheadings throughout your article. And I love doing this throughout my body, as well as I'll map out my conclusion and I'll label it conclusion. So my conclusion summarizes everything in my article, but also use a subheading of conclusion right above it. So that way people know, hey, this is the conclusion. This is also why I push you to create outlines. Because if you create an outline, you can quickly tell before you write your content if things are flowing. If you spend all the time writing first and you don't do the outline, you could end up with a piece that doesn't flow, and then you're going to have to spend a lot more time editing and rewriting, and you don't want to do that. The next step in steps is pain points. Think about the person reading it. Can you match your persona's story pain points? If you can relate more to them and really hook them in. Does a content supply examples and themes or stories? People relate more to stories than they do just reading sentences. Stories really get the imagination going, and storytelling is an age-old marketing tactic that's been used for thousands and thousands of years. You also don't want to abuse pain points. You don't want to push it really hard. You need to respect your reader's time and not just being like, you suck because you have these issues. Like, be nice and kind when you're covering the pain points as well. The final section is SEO. If your article isn't optimized for Google, how are people going to find it? Did you include the keywords that you found through the Ubersuggest tool in a natural way? Did you include them in the title of the article, within the body, within the conclusion, within your meta description? And even though you may have a list of 50 or 100 keywords, you don't want to just keep stuffing in those keywords. Is it natural? You don't have to mention a keyword 50 times. You'll naturally mention it if that's what the article is about. And you also want to run the page against your on-page checklist, which we've provided, or you can find at neilpatel.com/training if you don't have it. Another aspect of SEO that most people don't talk about is user experience. Are people actually reading your content? Where are the readers dropping off? How can you improve that experience? Through Crazy Egg, you can create a heat map, which will show you how people are interacting with your webpage. And here's an example. This is a live heat map. People could be scrolling, they're reading, and as they're reading and scrolling, then what's from there, I can show, hey, this is what people are reading, here's what they're not reading, here are the pages that need to be improved. So now what I want you to do is go to neilpatel.com/training, or beneath this video if you're already there. I want you to download your editing checklist. I want you to edit your draft article with the checklist. And then I want you to set up a heat map with Crazy Egg, so that way when you publish your content, you can see how people are reading and engaging with your content, because it'll show you where the drop-off is, so you can continually improve and tweak your content. I look forward to helping you grow your traffic through SEO and content marketing. Hey everyone, I'm Neil Patel, and today I'm going to teach you how to supercharge your content marketing by learning from your competition. But before we get started, I want to read a quote. The trick to having good ideas is to not sit around in glorious isolations and try to think big thoughts. The trick is to get more parts on the table. This is a quote from Steve Johnson. I love it. And the reason being is there's over 1 billion blogs on the web. That's so many. That's roughly 1 for every 7 people. There's so many people who are already doing what you're trying to do with content marketing. You can learn from them. So why not take their concepts, what's working for them, put it on the table so you can learn from it. With your competitors, there's many different business models that they may have, from getting leads for public speaking, to being affiliate play, to selling software and tools, or getting more podcast listeners, to even getting more consulting leads or making money through advertising or selling products like e-commerce. Content marketing works for all niches. So let's go over some of these examples. The first thing you need to do is put in your competitor's domain into Ubersuggest. So go to ubersuggest.com, put in your competitor's domain name, and from there, you'll see a report. And the report will show you, hey, who is linking to your competition. And the way you get there is in the left-hand navigation side. Make sure you click on backlinks so that way you can see this report. And this will show you the pages on their sites that are performing well from an SEO standpoint, right? What are the pages that people want to link to because they feel they're ultra valuable? And if you look at the arrow there, that arrow shows you the linking site and what page it's pointing to. The target shows the target URL on your competitor's website that other people are linking to. And that'll give you an idea of what's working and what's not. The third step is to go to top pages in the left-hand navigation and look for the popular pages. This will show you all the pages, whether they're the e-commerce page or a content-rich page or a video page that's driving traffic based on social shares, backlinks, and estimated visits. If you click under View All under Estimated Visits, it'll show you all the keywords that drive traffic to that page. The fourth step, when you're going to your competition site and you're looking at their content, because you've now found this data from Ubersuggest. So when you're on that top pages report, you would click on over to their website and look to see if they have any emails, products, services, sign up for them. So I would go to HubSpot, for example, and download that free PDF or ebook that they're offering. And once I do, it'll give me an understanding of how HubSpot is doing their marketing. And this will give me ideas of where I need to take my content marketing. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into different examples. Let's start off with affiliates. There's a ton of affiliate sites out there. It's big. A good example of affiliate site is Wirecutter. They'll write articles on everything out there that benefit people, and you can see this in the Ubersuggest top pages report, and you can see what's popular, from the best dishwashers to the best vacuum cleaners. And when they have these articles, you bet that when they're talking about the best vacuum cleaners, they may give you 10, 11, vacuum cleaners that are amazing and do thorough reviews, but for each of them, you bet that they're using affiliate link, and that's how they're making money. Another one is Outdoor Gear Lab. They talk about all the outdoor gear that you need if you love hiking or camping or anything like that. And their website covers a lot of popular articles, and you can see again in Ubersuggest in the top pages report by them having articles on the best outdoor winter jackets or things like the best backpacks for camping. And you can see this data based on the estimated visits as well as the social shares. So you see the social shares on the right side and the estimated visits on the left side. And keep in mind, the estimated visits is the estimated visits from Google each month to that web page. Some software examples, if you have a B2C or B2B software company, Marketo, which is now owned by Adobe, you can go to their website, check out their products, request a demo, download some of their ebooks, seminars. It'll give you an idea of what they're doing to attract people. Again, you want to go to the top pages report, look at your competitors, see what's popular. They got a guide on mobile marketing. They got another one on content marketing. And you would just go through this, and it'll give you ideas of what's working from based on estimated visits as well as social shares and backlinks. Canva, another popular app. I use this one all the time. And you can see again through the top pages that they have things on photo editors and templates and cards. These are all things that people love. So you can do like top 10 ways to edit a photo, or even more specific, how to add a blur effect to your photo. That's another example of a content piece that you can write that people love to read. Podcasting, you've seen a lot of podcasts out there, whether it's Dr. Axe, who's on health. Dr. Axe has an amazing site, amazing podcast. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. And listen to their podcast episodes, because if this is your competition, you'll get an understanding of what they're doing, what's working. Make sure you go to their Apple store, check out everything, the reviews, what people are saying, what they like, what they dislike. This will give you ideas as well. Joe Rogan, another podcast, super popular. You want to listen to his content, assuming he's your competition. You can also go and put in his URL into Ubersuggest and go to the backlinks report. You'll see who he's linking to. You can also end up using the top pages report, which will show you what's popular on his site. So you can do that for any one of your competitors whose goal is to use content to get more podcast listens, or if you have a podcast and that's your main source of content, you can use this to see who's linking, what products they're selling into, because this will all help you figure out how you can generate sales from your podcast, as well as how you can get the viewership and listens as well. Consulting examples, you can just copy my site for this. I've done it pretty well. I fine-tuned it. Go to the services tab on neilpatel.com. That'll give you some ideas on what I'm doing. I'm driving a lot of traffic from my other content pages. You can see my top pages, and you'll see banners and sidebar ads that drive traffic to my consulting page, which helps drive leads as well. For people who sell products, there's a lot of examples of this. One of my favorite examples is e-commerce. There's so many sites that use content marketing and sell products. Lego is a great example of this. Even as an adult, I still loved Legos to death. My niece and nephew, they're always creating Legos. Even my brother-in-law, Ethan, he started creating like remote control Lego cars and plays with his kids with that. And if you type in your e-commerce competitors into Ubersuggest and go to their top pages, you'll see what's driving them traffic. And there's some interesting examples here, like Lego Marvel Superheroes. You can create an article breaking down all the Lego, Marvel superheroes and the cool products and the vehicles that they have and the outfits and all these changes that you can end up making. And what's cool about this is you can sell them through those articles and use affiliate links, or you can copy the same strategy. Now, your business isn't Legos, but whatever your business may be, you can use the same concept that Legos is doing to generate more sales. And it's super effective. If you look at their traffic, they get millions of visitors a month. They have millions of backlinks. It's done very well. And the last example that I want to share with you is courses. I used to have courses that I would sell. Now I just give them away for free, like I'm doing with SEO Unlocked. But one of my old paid courses were Advanced Marketing Program. I would create a lot of content around this. People loved it. They would consume it, and I would drive paid users from my content marketing and blog posts. And then when they got into the course, there was more videos, audio files, tutorials, and that all helped people consume and learn more information. We finally come to the end of content marketing. I want you to go to neilpatel.com/training. If you're not already there, go to SEO Unlocked. And under this video, what you'll find is a few sheets that'll help you get the most out of your content marketing. One, you want to make sure your WordPress site is optimized for SEO. So make sure you download that cheat sheet. I want you to also create 1 to 2 customer personas. This is super important because you have to remember you're selling to someone eventually. And of course, I want you to create a good list of keywords. If you don't have a good list of keywords, you're going to find that you're going to write content that very few people are going to read. Thank you for watching. I look forward to helping you next week grow your backlinks. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today is another day of SEO Unlocked. And this week, we're going to be going over link building. No matter how useful your content may be, a site without links is far less likely to rank highly in the organic search results. And that's why we're going to be going over link building for the whole week. Now, of course, if you want to rank in the organic section, which is roughly in the middle, at the top, you always see ads whenever you do a Google search. But the organic search results is what gets the most traffic. You need the magical thing, which is links. And I'll end up breaking down how you can build them throughout this lesson. But first, what is link building? Well, link building is about acquiring new inbound links to a website from external websites. That's like another website linking to yours. You know, when you click on those blue links or orange links or whatever color a website has them, and it goes and sends you to another website, that's a link. And it's a proven tactic that boosts search engine rankings over time. But it's not always about quantity. You know, years and years ago, there was a site called Get Rich Slowly that got bought out by a lot of money. And there was this new website, now this website isn't new anymore, called The Penny Hoarder. And The Penny Hoarder was getting way more traffic than Get Rich Slowly, but yet they had a lot less links. And it shows you that quantity isn't everything. See, a link isn't as simple as the more you have, the better off you are. It's more like a voting system. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say there's 2 people. If President Obama, who was the old president of the United States, and me, Neil Patel, a marketing guru, if I tell you to vote for someone for a political election, or President Obama tells you to vote for someone, who do you think carries more weight? If you think Obama carries more weight, you're right. And it's because he's an expert within that subject matter. Now, on the flip side, if a well-known doctor said, hey, vote for this company when it comes to marketing, or if me, Neil Patel, who's known for marketing, tells you, hey, vote for this other company when it comes to marketing, who do you think carries more weight? And it's me. And the reason being is my expertise is marketing. So the way links goes is the more right links you get from relevant, authoritative sources, the better off you are. And here are some of my sites over the years, neilpatel.com, QuickSprout, which I no longer own, Crazy Egg. In essence, if you look at all my sites and you combine them, I built literally millions and millions of links over the years. Now, here's the beautiful part. If you do things right and you're following all the previous lessons and modules, you'll start naturally getting links over time. But at the beginning, you're going to have to kickstart it. You're going to have to go out there and find quality links. And you can do this using 2 tools. Ubersuggest, which will help you find the links, and then Mailshake you can use to do outbound to go and get the links. I also have attachment, the link building scorecard. Make sure you download this because this will allow you to rate the links that you're getting and find the right ones. And if you're watching this video on YouTube or somewhere else, you can go to neilpatel.com/training, click on SEO Unlocked, and when you go to Module 5, Lesson 1, you will end up seeing the file of the link building scorecard. But let's go over the essential items in the link building scorecard and the optional ones. So the first essential thing is referring domains. This is the most important part about link building, in which everyone thinks the more links you have, the better. It's not about getting one site to link to you 1,000 times. that isn't the same as 1,000 different sites linking to you. So the key is to get as many unique sites linking to you as possible versus getting the same site linking to you over and over again. Another one is do follow versus no follow. Everyone's like, oh, do follow, which is telling a search engine, pass search engine juice, so it helps them rank higher. No follow saying, hey, don't pass search engine juice. Everyone believes, oh, you only want do follow links. And although that's true, there's a lot of no follow sites that have a lot of traffic, they have a lot of authority, and they can drive you revenue as well. See, link building isn't just about ranking higher on Google. Link building is also getting that referring traffic from other websites and converting some of those visitors into customers as well. You can go to Ubersuggest, the tool, and in the sidebar, you can click on backlinks, and any URL you put in, whether you put in your own or your competitors, you can see the no follow links and the do follow. All you do is just click on that button. And you can also see how popular a site is. So the more traffic a website drives, the better. So if you're thinking about getting a link from someone like neilpatel.com, which is my site, you can go to the top pages report in Ubersuggest, put in, my domain or someone else's, and you can see how many visits they're getting to popular pages. The more popular pages linking to your site, the better you are, because the more traffic it's going to drive, which in theory has a better shot of driving you leads or sales or conversions. Then there's domain score and page score. The higher this number's from 0 to 100, more so 1 to 100, but the higher you go up, the better off you are. Like the super authoritative sites like a Wikipedia, Google, they're going to be up there. They're going to be 100 or close to it. Smaller sites are going to be lower on the scale. The higher up you go, the better off you are. Because in theory, the more authoritative the site, the more effect, the more power that link holds. This is like Obama telling you to vote for a political candidate versus Neil Patel. Obama carries much more weight because he's in the political arena. Another essential is anchor text. This is the keyword that you click on in the link. So the keyword may end up being, dog food, or it could be the word marketing or whatever your business is. If the link contains a lot of keywords, it tells Google, hey, this page that we're linking to is relevant for these keywords, so maybe you should rank them higher for those keywords. And when you go over to Ubersuggest and you look up a link in the link report or top pages or any section, and you click on the backlinks and you're trying to see, all right, who are all the pages linking to this URL, it'll show you the anchor text. And that anchor text will vary. Sometimes it'll say, the brand name or www.yourdomain.com, or it could be your site name, all one word, or it could say some keywords. It'll vary a lot, and that's natural, and you want that. If all your links say a keyword, Google will know that you're manipulating them, and that's not natural. So when you're naturally building links and earning them because you created good content, you have a great website, that means your link text is going to be all over the board, and that's okay. Some of the optional things are link placement. Ideally, in-content links are better. Footer links, not as great. Sidebar links, not as great. What you'll find is editorial links, the ones you earn and go after, they tend to be within the content. But don't obsess over where a link is placed, because like some people, they'll naturally link to you from a resources page, and that although that's not as ideal as them linking within their content, something is better than nothing. Relevancy, it's also important. The reason I say this is optional is because you can't always control relevancy either. So if Facebook links to you, and even if it's no followed from a fan page, do you really care if Facebook is a social network and they talk about everything, but your page linking to you, even though it's on that social network, it could drive you business. So that's okay if they're not all 100% relevant. Now, of course, if your website is about dental and teeth implants, you wouldn't want a site on Mars, a website about outer space and Mars to link to you, because that just wouldn't make sense. But you will see somewhat irrelevant links like social profiles and social sites linking to you, and that's okay and that's common. Another one, strategy. This is optional. When you go into the Ubersuggest report for backlinks, you'll see that a lot of your competitors have links. You may come up with a strategy on how you can get all those people to link to you, and you could do well with that strategy, but it's optional because there's formulas that you can follow that'll get you links, and I'll show you that over the next few lessons as well. So now that you know the fundamentals of link building, you probably have some questions, and I want to address them. First is, how long does it take to work? Well, according to Moz research, it takes around 10 weeks to improve your rankings from a link. We usually see that it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months for a link to really kick in. And you can also see that on the graph. So we have very similar findings on our end. And if you're working with an agency, you'll find that they can get ramped up within a month to a few months. Same with the in-house builder. It could take a few weeks for strategy as well. You're going to have to do a lot of outreaching. And when you go through this whole process, what you'll find is from day 1 to month 3, that's when you'll start seeing a lot of the links, and then give it another 3 months, and then you'll start seeing those links kick in. So give it 3 months to really build and ramp up your link building, and then give it another 3 months for the links to kick in. But you don't want to stop after the first 3 months. You want to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. So before we wrap up this lesson, I want to end this off with going over some link building mistakes. The first one is too many exact match anchors. So if you're trying to rank for the keyword dog food, all your links shouldn't say dog food. That would be unnatural. The second one is not enough semantic keyword anchors. So if your keyword is dog food, it may be dog food, food for pets, food for puppies. Those are all variations of dog food that's natural that people may link to you. The third mistake, you don't have enough junk anchors. Some of the people linking to you will be saying like www.yourdomain.com or click here. Or the fourth mistake is not having brand mentions. That's another one of junk. Someone just put your brand name, which is common. You also want to make sure you have social signals going to your website. So those are the Facebook shares, the Twitter shares, Pinterest. It all helps. You also want to avoid buying links. It's a bad thing. And of course, you don't want to exchange links with other websites. That's like reciprocal link building. I link to you, you link back. Now, if you naturally do that, that's fine, but you don't want to do it to manipulate or game Google. So the last thing I have for you before we move on to the next lesson, I want you to go to neilpatel.com/training and download the link building scorecard and fill that out and start working on it. Thank you for watching. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today is another day of SEO Unlocked. And today we're going to be going over specific tactics that you can use to get links. You should always have a well-rounded portfolio of ways to get links. If you don't, you're not going to do well when it comes to link building because you have to adapt. But here's the thing, link building's a deliberate practice. You need to keep practicing and doing it to get better at it. People like Jerry Seinfeld, he's crushed it. He's done so well from Seinfeld, the TV show that many of you have seen. He's worth a ton of money. Why? Because he constantly is always practicing and writing jokes. Same with athletes. LeBron James, amazing basketball player. Michael Jordan, amazing basketball player. Tiger Woods, amazing at golf. All these people have continually focused on one skill and got better and better. And I know you have more things to do in your life than just link building, but if you want to do well in SEO, you have to get good at link building. And that's why you also have your scorecard. So make sure you download it, fill it out, because it'll help you stay on track and continually build those links. Here's the thing though, before we really dive into link building, a lot of people have this misconception that it doesn't work for hyper-competitive industries. It works for all industries. I don't care if you're competing against some of the biggest brands like GoDaddy, right? Even if you're trying to rank for terms like hosting and beat them, you can. And there's companies like HostGator who aren't anywhere nearly as known as GoDaddy, yet they still rank extremely well for terms like web hosting. So here's some strategies for you. The first strategy is competitor link building. You can type in your competitor's domain name like GoDaddy, and on the backlinks report in Ubersuggest, it'll show you all the people who link to them. And you can look at which links are follow links, because the follow links are the ones that you want. Those are the ones that pass juice. Export it, and then open up the PDF or more so Excel sheet that you're given. Then I want you to filter the results by domain score, and you want the highest number first. Sites with a higher domain score are the ones that ideally you want to get linking back to you, because those are the ones that are going to help you boost your rankings more than others. You also want to look at the referring page title. Is it relevant to your website? If so, great. You should consider hitting that site up. If not, you're probably wasting your time because they're probably not going to link to you. The second strategy for successful link building is all about content backlinks. Here's what I mean by this. You type in any keywords within Ubersuggest, you'll see who's ranking on the right side. This is in the Keyword Ideas report. And you see, all right, hosting facts. They're ranking really high for the term web hosting. So you end up clicking on hosting facts and you end up taking to another report in Ubersuggest, which shows you all their backlinks. You can click on the backlinks number as well, and that'll take you to the backlinks report. I want you to do the same thing. Look at your competition who's ranking high, because a lot of them are content-based websites. They're not like the GoDaddies that are just offering a service, but many of them are just content-based websites. Look them up, look at their content, look at their backlinks report within Ubersuggest. I want you to export the CSV, and same thing. You want to sort by domain score, and then from there, look for the results that are the most relevant based on page title, and you could consider hitting them up. I'll provide you with the templates as well on how to hit them up, but I first want to go over all the strategies. The next one is guest posting. So you can end up looking at any popular news website within Ubersuggest and go to their top pages, and you can see, all right, here are all the popular pages that they have. This is a news website, and some of them will be written by random authors. That will show you, okay, these people are accepting content from other writers, whether they're guest posts or not. In essence, they're accepting content from writers. And you don't need to worry if a site just only offers guest posting. Just look for news websites that have a ton of authors, because once you find the authors, you can then Google their name and go find all the places that they have written. And what I want you to do is go to them, connect with them on their social profiles. Many of them will add you. And once you connect with them, I want you to reach out to them and send them an email that goes something like this. Hey, let's say the author's name is Nathan. Hey, Nathan, I just want to let you know I'm a huge fan of your work, and I love your latest blog post on, enter in the topic. It's a great post. Keep up the great work, and I look forward to reading informational blog posts from you. Cheers, and then your name. You'll find that they'll usually respond saying thanks or something like that. A few days later, I want you to send another follow-up email. Hey, Nathan, I just saw that you wrote about XYZ article. It's awesome. It's actually very beneficial, but I noticed that you missed a few key points. And then in this area, you want to give them feedback. Readers like me and your other readers might find those points beneficial if you covered them. I just want to share my thoughts. Hopefully I didn't offend you. Your number one fan, Neil. What you'll find is after you send out the second email, they usually get back. They appreciate the criticism, constructive criticism more so, because you're helping them become better. Who's going to hate on that? And they usually will just respond saying thanks or appreciate it. And then eventually once they respond, I want you to send out a third email. Hey, Nathan, I really love what you're doing at the New York Times, and I want to follow in your footsteps. You're a huge inspiration to me, and I think I can learn a lot from you. And one day, hopefully, I can write content just as amazing as you, pay you back, and I want to help create an article for your audience. And then you can suggest the article and just ask them directly for an introduction to the editor. And either they'll do it or not. But typically, what I find is, yes, you're going to get ignored, but roughly 30% of the time, they're going to respond positively and do an introduction. See, if you get introduced to an editor of some of these news sites from other authors, you're much more likely to get accepted. When you're doing guest posting, remember these links should be no-followed, and use them not just because, hey, it can manipulate Google. You don't want to think that way. Hence, I'm telling you to no-follow the guest post. That's a common standard practice. But it's more so that you want to do this because these sites can also drive a lot of volume and traffic, as well as revenue and leads or sales for you. There's another way that you can also find link opportunities, and that's just using Google. There's a ton of search operators, such as putting, in title, keyword, in URL links. And when you do those things and you put in your keyword where it says keyword, for the links, you just leave links, you'll find a bunch of resources and sites that could potentially be willing to link out to you. You can also use broken link building. You can follow the operators on the right side. I won't read all of them off, but as long as you follow them, you can also find a lot of sites that link to other resources, and just check to make sure they're live. And if some of them are broken, you can reach out and have them replace it with a link to your site that's very similar. You can also use the site audit tool within Ubersuggest. It'll tell you if you have any broken links on your site or any of your competitor sites. This is great because it opens up a ton of opportunities for you as well. Some other search operators that you can use for guest posting, you can see all of them on the left. I won't bore you with them. You can just go through them step by step and type them into Google. The ones on the right for PR, you can use those as well. One thing to note is when I'm doing link building, I like looking at the traffic of the website. The more traffic it has, the better it is. You don't want to link for the sake of link or to try to rank higher just on Google. You want links because it's good for you. It's good press. It can improve your brand awareness. It can drive revenue. It's worth it. So I highly recommend that you look at, the traffic that some of these sites have when you're approaching for a link, because if they only have one visitor, they're not going to be that valuable. So some other link building resources for you, and I really love this one, but very few people do it, is create custom images. You can do this through Canva. You can do this through Infogram. And when you publish these images on your site, you'll notice that a lot of people will just take them and repurpose them, and they won't give you credit for them. So you want to take those links or images more so, put them into Google image search and do a reverse image search lookup, and I'll show you all the websites that are using that image. And if they've taken your image, you can hit them up and ask them to link to you. So some action items for you. I want you to first download the search operators PDF, so that way you have them all and you can find more link opportunities. And 2, make sure you find backlinks and fill in your link building scorecard, which you already downloaded in the previous week. And 3, I want you to join 10 Facebook groups and start joining the conversation, because if you join these Facebook groups, you'll get to know people, and it'll also open up more PR opportunities and more link building opportunities as well. If you're not sure where to find the files and you don't see them, go to neilpatel.com/training, click on SEO Unlocked. You would want to go to Module 5, and you would want to go to the second video under Module 5, and underneath that video, you'll see the download files to all of these. The link building scorecard, technically that one is under the first video in Module 5. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to getting you loved by Google. Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today's another day of SEO Unlocked. Today, we're going to be breaking down how you can build relationships with influencers and do outreach so that way you can get more links. But before we get started, I want to read this quote from Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock. Success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. And he's right. If you're consistent, you can do well in the long run. With link building, it's all about outreach. If you do consistent outreach, you can get results. If you don't, you're going to say, hey, Neil, link building's hard. I tried it out a little bit, but I'm not getting anywhere. It's because you weren't consistent. The first step is to build relationships, because if you build relationships and everlasting ones, you can continue to engage with these people. You can have them share your content on the social web. You can have them build links. You can have them drive traffic. You can even do biz dev partnerships. The key to building that relationship is to engage with them through comments, retweeting their stuff, sharing their stuff, talking to them, giving them advice, giving them feedback, picking their brain, just like you would do with any other friend. What I want you to do is go out there and go find 20 influencers in your space. You can search for any keyword on these social networks, find people, engage with them within the comments. That'll be your first step on building amazing relationships that last. Next, whenever you write content on your site, you got to promote it. Promoting it will get you links, get you social shares, and help you build an audience. The ideal time to release a blog post usually is around Monday, around 8 a.m. in your time zone. I'm assuming here that your time zone is when your readers are also on your website. So for me, most of my readers are on Pacific Standard Time or Eastern Standard Time. So I try to aim for around 8 a.m. For some of my other blogs, like my Portuguese blog, right, we'll post around 8 a.m. in Brazil time because most of our readers are from Brazil. So you want to adjust to wherever your readers are. As for writing your blog post, you also want to email it out. We found that emails around 6 a.m., you can always schedule them, tend to do really well in the morning. And you want to send out at least 4 emails a month. This will help you build a connection with your base. And also when you send out emails for link building, if you do them early, for all the people that you link to, what you'll find is they're much more likely to see it, because right when they go to work, it's one of the first things in their inbox. And whenever you promote your content, if you're not sure what to email your own list, you can just use my template on the right. I just tell them I want to share my latest blog post. I put the title, and I tell them they can click to continue reading, or you can write something custom. If you're wondering how to find influencers, You just go to these social platforms like Twitter, you search your keywords, see who's tweeting around those subjects, and then you go from there. You can also find their email address by usually going to their website, and a lot of times it'll be listed. Sometimes it's not. If it's a generic email, you can go to their privacy policy, see what their terms. You don't want to be breaching or screwing up any privacy policies. Think about things like GDPR as well. But you can also go on Google, type in the @ symbol, their domain name, and then their name, and see if you can end up finding results from there, because you'll need this to do outreach using programs like Mailshake, which is what I use. So you get the data from Ubersuggest for link opportunities, and then you send them emails through Mailshake. And once you sign up, the way it works is you go and you create a campaign, you click on that button. Once you click a campaign button, you click the plus button so that way you can start your first campaign. And they have templates as well. But what you can do is you can create a CSV file with all the emails and the names of all the people that you collected. And you just click next after you define the fields. You say email's email and name is name. And then what you'll want to do is you can either use one of their templates, or you can write one on your own or use some of the ones that I use. And you want to end up just sending out an email. And what Mailshake does is it adjusts it to a lot of those people. Now, I know Mailshake is mainly known as a sales tool, but link building and outreach is kind of a version of sales. And when you send it out over time, you'll get some responses. A lot of people will ignore you. And Mailshake has a lot of features like, if someone replies, you can send them this or do that, or you can take it over. You can there's a lot of logic there that you can end up using, and you can just follow up with people so that way you get more chances of them responding to you, engaging with you, so that way you can build links. So of course, what you want to do is before you send out the emails, check it in preview mode, make sure you don't miss anything. And some general tips for you is you want to make sure your outreach list is relevant, because if it's not, it won't work. You want a persuasive email sequence, because if it's not persuasive, you won't do well. You want to get the timing right. I mentioned timing to you. That'll give you ideas of when you want to send them. You want to personalize, because the more custom and personalized it is, the more genuine relationships you'll build and the more acceptance rate you'll get. And instead of just sending out a lot of emails, whenever you send out some, I want you to look at your initial emails, your follow-up, your open rates, and continually adjust and tweak them. So that way, you're getting the maximum amount of leverage from your list, because the last thing you want to do is send out tons of emails and get nowhere from it. So some tools that you could use is Mailshake, Ninja Outreach, BuzzStream, Pitchbox. Any of them work. I use Mailshake, but it's up to you. Once you get up and running, you're sending out your emails to build links. You want to maintain your velocity. That's the key. So if your goal is you're trying to build a few links a week, continually build a few links a week and ramp that up over time. But the last thing you want to do is build 100 links all at once and then just drop off at the face of the earth, because that shows the search engines that there's something wrong. Slow and steady really does win the race with link building. And if you do that, you'll win in the long run. Now I want you to head over to neilpatel.com/training, click on SEO Unlocked, go to Module 5, Lesson 3, and I want you to first start off by signing up for Mailshake or any outreach provider. Then I want you to upload the outreach templates that I provided you, and then I want you to send out at least 50 emails a week. If you do this consistently for at least 3 months, you'll do well. This will help you get loved by Google. Hi everyone, it's Neil Patel, and this is another day of SEO Unlocked, and this week we're going to be going over mastering Google tools. But before we get started, I want to start off with a quote. It's from Oscar Wilde. Experience is simply the name we give our mistakes. And by going over Google's tools that they provide you, you'll be able to find errors and mistakes within your website, so that way you can get results faster. But I want to go over a few household things before we dive in. First off, have you really done enough over the past 5 weeks? We've gone over 5 modules. The last one was link building. You should by now have implemented a lot of these things, and you should start seeing results. Because if you're not seeing measurable results already, something's off. And let us know, because we're here to help you and we want to make sure you're seeing results. So what I want you to focus on now is tracking your business goals. Because if you track your business goals, you'll be able to quickly improve them and see results even quicker. And that's what you should be focusing on. But first off, if you didn't know exactly what was covered in the last 5 weeks or what you need to do step by step, you can go through the modules all over again, or you can download the SEO Taskmaster worksheet. Has all the action steps broken down for literally every single module, and this will help you get results and stay organized. You can find this at neilpatel.com/training. Click on SEO Unlocked, and then you'll see the files in the right videos. In addition to that, you want to measure and prioritize your musketeer intent. You want to make sure that you're getting value and you're setting goals for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, or even year. That way you can stay on track, because if you know what you're trying to achieve, you can break down what you need to do on a daily basis to hit those goals. So now let's focus on some of the tools that Google offers to help you measure and improve your results. There's Google Search Console and Google Analytics. And we have 3 main lessons for you. One of them is on Search Console and 2 are on Google Analytics. But this one is going to be focusing on Google Analytics, and then we'll dive into Search Console, and then we'll go back to Analytics. Time is money when it comes to SEO. You know it takes a while to see results, so the last thing you want to do is focus on the wrong things. And the reason you want to use analytics is it helps you formulate a hypothesis about, hey, this is the type of content that's working and this was not working. This is the type of stuff that's building more links, more social shares, getting higher rankings. This is the stuff that's not working. These are the type of content and pages and keywords that are driving revenue versus, hey, these are the keywords that are driving traffic, but they're not generating one sale. And before we dive into analytics, I want to start with this quote: "A goal without a plan is just a wish." So the first step in Google Analytics is going over, you guessed it, goals. A goal could be anything: someone purchasing from your website, someone becoming a lead. You want to measure anything that helps you generate revenue. In essence, that's what a goal will be. So log into your Google Analytics, click on Admin, and then on the right side, I want you to click on Goals. You'll see a screen that looks like this. I want you to click on Creating a New Goal, and then pick the template that most resembles you. A reservation could be a lead, or you can end up picking someone generating a sale or someone contacting you. There's so many different options here, and they provide the templates. Select the one that's most relevant to the goal on your website, and then give that goal a name. Once you do that, you would type in, or select more so, the type of goal it is or how someone finishes that goal. So that could be they visit a thank you page or stay on the page long enough, or they exit, and you just select which one it is. The easiest one is usually, say, a destination, like driving them to a thank you page. And then on the next step, where it says equals to, you put your URL of your thank you page. So every time someone hits that, they know that, hey, you have a conversion. You'll also want to make sure once you create your goals that you turn them on. It's simple. I know this is obvious, but a lot of people make this mistake. No worries if you do. It's common. Make sure you turn them on. The next thing I want you to do is track your internal search queries. Remember how a lot of people use Google to do searches? Well, the chances are you have a search bar on your website, and you want to track what people are searching for on your website, because it'll give you ideas of content to create, what you need to optimize to generate more sales as well. So go back to Admin, and this time I want you to click on Settings. And when you click on Settings, you'll be able to scroll all the way down. I want you to turn on Site Search Tracking. And by turning it on, and you'll see another screen, just make sure you turn them all on. Once you end up doing that, it'll tell Google, hey, anytime someone searches on my website, track it. So that'll give you the data you need to make sure that when people are searching for specific things, like let's say you're an e-commerce company and everyone's searching for something but you don't offer it, now you know you should probably offer it. Or if you're a lead generation provider and people are searching for some educational based content and you don't have it, you should create it and then try to collect leads from that page. So when someone goes to your website, here's an example. They're searching, you'll see that they may have a specific URL string, like a question S equals, and you just want to place that into the previous screen that I mentioned here, where it breaks down, here's a category parameter or the query parameter, so that way Google can end up tracking it. You also want to create your own dashboard. By creating your own dashboard, you can see the metrics that are the most important to you. So in Google Analytics, go under Customization, and of course click on Dashboards, then click on Create. And then you want to create your own dashboard by coming up with the name. I like selecting blank canvas. And then you can select the metrics that are most useful to you. Whether it's goals or people abandoning your funnel or exiting, you can pick all the ones that are related to driving revenue. And the key there is ones that are related to driving revenue. I wouldn't create a dashboard with a ton of vanity metrics. Vanity metrics are metrics that don't move the needle, don't make you money. So make your dashboard with the metrics that drive conversions. And you can also adjust the layout of your dashboard. I like using it split screen with, something on the left, something in the middle, and something on the right. Now, last but not least, when we talk about Google Analytics, I want you to create alerts. Alerts notify you when something is happening that's good or bad. Remember, we are busy. You're busy. You don't have all the time in the world to log into Google Analytics every hour. Heck, you may not even log in every day. So by creating alerts, you can track spikes in traffic or drops or plateaus or goals going up or down or revenue going down or bounce rates going up. You can track whatever you want when it comes to your alerts. So within the sidebar of Google Analytics, click on Create Custom Alerts, then click on Manage Custom Alerts, then click on New Alert. And you'll want to name your alert, and then you want to select what the alert would be, and click Save. By doing that, you'll get notified every time something important happens, so that way you don't have to constantly check Google Analytics. So some action items for you before we go: set up your own dashboard, create your own goals, and download your SEO Taskmaster worksheet. The first two aren't really downloadable, it's more so actions for you, but the third one, definitely download that. I look forward to helping you grow your traffic.